Cunningham in 1990s. Now, this is an agile methodology which is primarily focused towards software development, right? So you will see many of the terms while studying extreme programming methodology, right? They're very uh, software specific, right? But in PMP exam, there will be questions on XP, so we have to do it. Now I'll start with the core values of XP. These are the 5 core values, right? See, XP is all about 5 core values, 5 principles, right? And 13 practices, right? Now, how in terms of structure, in terms of methodology, how XP looks like, what are the various roles, we'll discuss shortly. But these are, the 5 core values of XP: communication, simplicity, feedback, courage, and respect, right? Now, when we say communication, right, communication is all about to ensure that all the members know what is expected of them, right, and what other people are working on, right? One of the very important communication tool, right, is daily stand-up, right? Now, communication also touches certain other aspects like collaboration between users and programmers, right? Now, simplicity. Now, simplicity is, our focus should be on the simplest features, right? Our focus should be to reduce the complexity, right? We should remove extra features and waste, right? The focus should be to do simplest thing first, right? Is that okay? Now, since, XP is also based on a lot of frequent feedback mechanism that Agile has, right? The team should get the kind of impression of suitability as early as possible. So, you will see multiple levels of feedback here, right? Feedback in terms of spikes or risk-based spikes, feedback mechanism at daily stand-up level, feedback during iteration review, right? So feedback is also one of the core value here. Now, the 4th core value is courage. Now, tell me what does courage means? Expecting your mistakes, admitting your mistakes. Is it a courage or not? If anything has gone wrong, right? Accepting the mistake, is it a courage or not?
Yes.
Right? Transparently sharing your work with others, right? For example, if some developers have written their program and you are showing it openly to others, is it a courage or not? Is it a courage or not? Tell me. Tell me, guys. Now tell me, when mistakes are accepted, right? Corrective actions are created. Does it lead to enhanced learning also or not?
It does, Pankaj.
Right. And the 5th value of XP is respect, right? Because since people are working together as a team, right, and everyone is accountable for success and failure of the project, right? So, respect is one of the, people should mutually should give respect to each other. Right? So these 5 are the core values of XP: communication, simplicity, feedback, courage, and respect. Now, see, you might see a word called as metaphor very commonly when you talk in terms of XP. What does it mean when you say metaphor? Have you heard of this term metaphor before? What is a metaphor? Can you see metaphor here in communication, guys?
Yes.
what is the meaning of this word metaphor? People who have done something in English, right? They commonly use terms like metaphors and similes, right? What do you mean by metaphors? Now tell me, even if you have to explain your design, even if you have to explain something related to technology to stakeholders, can you use simple words? Can you explain everything in a very, very simple word? For example, if you have to build, highly secured systems. Now, see, when you talk about highly secured systems, I can use the word that, confidentiality, availability and integrity of the system, or confidentiality, integrated or availability of system should be very high, right? This is one way to explain a highly secured system, right? Now, tell me, if I explain a highly secured system like this to all the stakeholders, right? Or, will all the stakeholders understand this kind of a language? Or if instead of, expressing myself like this, if I say our system should be as secured as Great Wall of China, which is easy to understand for a non-technical stakeholder. Tell me, which is easy for a non-technical stakeholder to understand. If I say my system should be as secured as Great Wall of China, or should I say, my system should be really good in terms of confidentiality, integrity, and availability.
Yeah, the second one is
Confidentiality, integrity, and availability, or it should be as secured as Great Wall of China. Tell me, for a non-technical stakeholders.
What's the first one? Because it has the image of like what we quoting.
Because many stakeholders may not understand what is confidentiality, what is integrity, and what is availability, right, Ritesh?
Yes.
So, XP, emphasize a lot on using metaphors. Are you getting my point? For example, if you have to build an accounting system that is highly scalable, it never, error free, right? You can always say, my accounting system is like an accountant who never commit any kind of a mistake, right? So, you can describe even the technical part component or technical areas of your project very simply, right? In very simple terms. So that is metaphors. That is the meaning of metaphor, right? So we have discussed about 5 core values of XP, right? Now let's quickly see the 5 principles, which are very, very similar to what we have done so far. Right? Now, quick feedback or fast feedback, assume simplicity, incremental changes, embrace change, product quality, right? Produce quality work. These are the 5 core principles. I don't think I have to explain you, right? Any of these principles, these are pretty simple, and we have gone through these principles as a part of Scrum, Lean, and Kanban also. Right? Now, 13 practices. These are very, very important. These are the 13 practices, right? That XP has. Now, first, I'll be talking about some of the important and key practices, right? Now, one of these key practices, pair programming. Can you see pair programming? Guys, can you see pair programming here?
Yes.
yes.
Now, what is pair programming? Now, in extreme programming, the preferred approach is on a single piece of code, 2 people will work, not 1. 2 people will be working on a single piece of work. Now, when one out of these people would be a driver who will be writing the program, and the other person would be navigator who will be reviewing it, right, and giving suggestions. And both driver and navigator can exchange their positions, right? Visually it looks like this. This is a scenario in programming, pair programming, right? two people are working on same piece of code. One is a driver who is writing the code. Another is navigator who is reviewing and giving suggestions, right? And this driver and navigator, they can exchange the position over a period of time. This is called as pair programming, which is very, very important, practice which is followed in extreme programming. Right. So do you understand pair programming? Are you able to interpret what is pair programming, guys? Any question on pair programming? Now, if you have understood pair programming, tell me what is the benefit of this approach? Can you tell me what is the benefit of pair programming? What is the benefit of pair programming, guys? Anybody?
Maybe validating the approach of driver.
Quickly, more quickly or not? It's a quick
validation.
It's a quick validation, quick feedback. Yes or no? What do you think, Divya?
Yes, Pankaj, true. No.
Right. So
Yeah.
tell me any negative of pair programming. Is it costly? Two people working on the same program. Costly or not?
Yeah, time consuming, costly.
Not time consuming. Time consuming is still okay because they're working parallelly, but yes, it's costly. And yes, since two people are working on a single piece of code, yes, to some extent, delays can lead to
Conflicts also, I would say, no?
Conflicts can be there, but ideally, when you're talking about highly skilled self-managed team, it should not happen, and they will interchange the position also. But yes, there can be some level of conflict between driver and the navigator, right? Now, this is a preferred approach in XP pair programming, right? So, is the basic concept of pair programming clear? If a question comes regarding pair programming, you should be able to answer. So we have done one of the practice out of the 13 practices. Is that okay? Is that okay, guys? Right. Charu, you were dropped off. We were discussing a very, very important practice that is followed in pair programming, which is in XP, which is pair programming. So you were there when we were discussing about pair programming. Charu, were you there when we were discussing about pair programming?
No, sir, I missed on. There is some net issue at my end today.
Okay.
So I am getting disconnected from the call.
So, in XP, we prefer an approach like this when two developers, two programmers work in pairs, right? Now, can you see the two programmers? Two programmers or two developers will work together on a same piece of code. One will be driver and one will be navigator, right?
Okay.
Now, the navigator will, review the code parallelly as driver is writing. He can give suggestions also, right? Now, the benefit of this approach is you get upfront feedback on the code, right? It's a kind of a upfront validation also.
Okay.
Right? So this is the only thing that we discussed, the first practice, right? The second important practice is...
Sir, just one small thing. I mean, I have not worked on XP approach ever, but if two people are working on one code, isn't it we are like wasting one whole resource?
Yeah, so this is one person will always be a driver writing the code, another will be a reviewer and navigator. So that's why there's a concept of driver and navigator. Now you're absolutely right. There are some benefits of this approach. Benefit is you get an upfront review. Definitely there is a negative impact also that the cost will be very high for same program. Since two people are working, the cost, right, increase. Right? And it can have some impacts on the duration of the project also.
Yeah, matlab, theek hai. Thank you.
So pros and cons will be there for sure, right?
Yeah.
Now, so we have done one of the important practice, which is called as pair programming, right? Now, second is refactoring. Now, refactoring is actually in the context of test-driven development. Now, tell me, have you ever heard of test-driven development, right? Have you ever heard of test-driven development?
Yes.
Now, what is test-driven development?
So we first write the test cases and then we code according to meet the criteria of
Okay. So, you know, guys, Vishal defined test-driven development in a very proper manner, right? In test-driven development, we first write test cases, right? And then start writing a program to pass those test cases. Now, if we do like this, what are the benefits? What are the benefits of using this approach?
So we basically,
We basically focus on the functionality, the key functions. If we are writing something to pass the test case, aren't we focusing on the key functional area? Yes or no?
yes.
Tell me, guys. Yeah, Aditya, are you getting my point or not?
Sir.
Right. Now, whole flow. Let me explain you the whole flow of this test-driven development. Right. Now, can you see the flow? Now, what did we do first? The first thing is we'll add the test. Right. Now, tell me, from the perspective of the code, if I have simply added the test, right, will the test pass or test fail initially? In a empty code, fail, right? If the code is empty and I'm running a test, it will fail. Then I'll start writing the code with the aim so that the test passes, right? Now, you know, I'll keep on writing the code till it passes. If it fails again, I'll modify the code, right? But if it passes, right, then I move forward. Right? Is more functionality needed? And, you know, I will keep on doing this. We'll keep on adding tests and we'll keep on running the test. And another most important thing is, you know, because since our initial focus was to ensure that test passes, right? So what we'll do is, after the test is passed, we'll refactor the code. Now, what is the meaning of refactoring? Refactoring means we'll clean the code. We'll indent it properly, we'll comment it properly, so that if anybody else uses the code, right, he can understand everything. So this is.
I have one question
Yeah.
here, Pankaj. Sorry to interrupt.
No, absolutely.
We are first writing the test cases, right?
Yeah.
But how we are making sure that our test cases cover all the functionality?
So it should be, you know, the test cases should be based on functionality only.
Yeah, but are we getting any reviews done by BAs or business teams or anything?
Yes. See, you know, actually, it's, you know, the whole process starts based on acceptance. You know, there's a method called as ATD, acceptance test driven approach, right? In fact, you know, if some of you have worked in quality, right? In quality, we have V model of testing, right? So in V model of testing or W model of testing, what we do is, you know, we first write when we are preparing the requirements, corresponding to the requirements, we create acceptance tests. And when we go into designing, corresponding to the designing, we do integration test cases, right? And when we write, you know, corresponding to development, we do unit test cases, right? So obviously, yes, these test cases, right? At a code level, we have unit test cases. These test cases are based on requirements only. Yes, they're validated by the you know, a BA also, or anybody who is relevant to this. See, we have to ensure the test covers every requirement. That is a primary, that's a prerequisite here. The test to be run should include all the requirements of the functionality to be validated. Are you getting this, Isha?
Yes, sir.
Right. So, it's as good as this. For example, you have a refrigerator at home, right? Suppose you are a manufacturer of a refrigerator, right? Now, tell me, before creating a new refrigerator or a new model of a refrigerator, you will have all the specifications in place that what you are intending to achieve. Yes or no? Suppose you have to develop a refrigerator as a product, right? You have every specs in place, like what should be the compressor, what should be the cooling level, right? Whatever the various specifications, right? Now, as you start assembling the refrigerator, focusing towards the test cases. Now, initial, when there is nothing in the refrigerator, no compressor, nothing, right? Will the test case fail? Now, as you start assembling the refrigerator, as you start, adding things to the refrigerator, right? Like compressor and other components, will the test pass? Slowly and slowly, the various test cases will start passing or not? Yes or no?
Yes, Pankaj.
Right? You can take any device, like, you can take air conditioner for that matter, right? See, as you start putting compressor, coils, right? And focusing on as you add, put gas inside, right? Now, as you put various components inside, it will start passing in. So the same thing is, in test-driven approach, first we write test cases. We have to ensure that test cases should cover all the possible functionality, right? We'll run the test cases, right? And we'll make the test cases, right, pass by writing the code, right? Initially, obviously, when we run the test cases, they will fail. We'll start writing the code so that eventually the test cases should pass, right? We may have to go through multiple iterations also. We'll write a code, we'll run the test, it might fail, and we'll again update, modify, right? Now, after the code is passed, right, if more functionality is needed, we'll repeat multiple tests. But after the testing is completed, we have to refactor and clean the code. We will properly indent the code, we'll add comments wherever required. So that is called as refactoring. Refactoring helps you to make your code program more maintainable, right? So that, if tomorrow you are not there, anybody else can also understand from the program. Is that okay? Is that okay? So this is called as test-driven approach. There will be questions in the exam with respect to this approach, right? I have seen, even in the cloned questions that I have, there are some questions on test-driven approach. So if you have any questions, please ask me. Any questions on test-driven approach? Now see, test-driven approach is, is known by the term called as red, green, and refactor. Many times they might use these terms red, green, and refactor. Why red? Because, initially the test will fail. Green means when the code works, when the test passes. And then refactor, you have to clean the code to eliminate redundancy. You can add comments and, you can indent the code better. So many times test-driven approach is known by red, green, and refactor. Is that okay? Is that okay, guys? So any questions on test-driven approach? Any questions, Vishal? Are you okay with test-driven approach?
Yes, Pankaj.
Right. Now, just like we have tests many times, you can see variety of terms. Sometimes you see test-driven approach. Sometimes you also see something called as acceptance test-driven approach. The core fundamental remain the same. The core fundamental remain the same, right? The only thing is, when you talk about acceptance test-driven development, it is, the approach is primarily with respect to business requirement, right? You will aim that, your system should pass test cases related to business requirement. The concept is same, right? The approach followed in acceptance test-driven development is, these are the steps which are followed. You discuss, then you distill, right? You develop, and then you give demonstration. The whole concept remains the same, right? First, you will clarify the requirement, right? So that a proper acceptance criteria is designed, right? This is called as discuss, right? Then you distill, you'll even for acceptance, just like we have framework for unit testing, we have frameworks for for acceptance test driven development also. Then you distill, right? Distill means distill, you have to distill test in a framework friendly format, right? You can enter the test cases in the acceptance test tool, right? Then you can develop the code, right? And hook up the tests, right? And then the team will perform exploratory testing using automated acceptance testing scripts and demos and the software, right? So the whole approach remains the same. The whole approach of any test-driven approach will be red, green, and clean or refactor, right? You can write clean or refactor, means the same. So, guys, do you have any question on test-driven development or acceptance test-driven development? Any questions on any of these? No questions? So shall I go back to XP?
Pankaj, you're not audible. Hello.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, you're audible, guys. Yeah, any questions on XP? Any questions, guys? Am I audible?
Yes, very much.
Audible.
Okay. So any questions on a test-driven approach? No questions. So shall we go back to XP practices?
As of now, no.
Okay. So you understand what is pair programming. You understand what is test-driven approach, right?
Test-driven approach not yet clear to me.
Okay. Now let me do one thing. See, Nitin, I am taking a very simple example now, right?
Okay.
देखो, अगर आपसे कोई बोलता है कि कोई यार, आपसे कोई बोलता है यार मेरे लिए लेमोनेड बनाओ, बट लेमोनेड ना तो बहुत खट्टा होना चाहिए ना बहुत मीठा होना चाहिए, राइट? आपको उसने ये स्पेक्स दे दिए, अब आप लेमोनेड बना रहे हो। पहली बार जब आपके पास आप ये बताओ, जब पहली बार नींबू डालोगे, राइट, और सब कुछ सारी चीजें इंग्रेडिएंट्स डालोगे उस लेमोनेड को बनाने के लिए, काफी आप पहली बार में पास तो नहीं होगे, फेल होगे, काफी चांसेस है। यस और नो?
करेक्ट,
राइट। उसके बाद आप देखोगे, उसको टेस्ट कराओगे बार बार थोड़े से, उसमें वो बोलेगा यार नहीं, इसको थोड़ा सा और बढ़ा, इसको कम कर, तो फाइनली जब सब कुछ ठीक हो गया आप पास हो जाओगे। यस और नो? तो सबसे पहले तो टेस्ट ड्रिवन डेवलपमेंट में क्या, आपको टेस्ट स्पेसिफिकेशंस पहले मिल गए, अब आपको अपना प्रोडक्ट या डिलीवरेबल ऐसे बनाना है so that it passes the test. Are you getting my point or not?
Correct.
Right. So, सबसे पहले क्या होगा, आप एक टेस्ट केस लिखोगे। Now, generally क्या है, जब specifically in the context of software development, जब कुछ है ही नहीं आपके पास, तो टेस्ट केस फेल होगा पहली बार में। Then you start building. जब आप प्रोग्राम लिखने लगोगे तभी भी बहुत बार हो सकता है मल्टीपल टाइम्स ये फेल हो जाएगा, राइट? बट फाइनली ये जब पास हो जाएगा, उसके बाद आप क्या करोगे, क्लीन करोगे इसे, राइट? दिस इज कॉल्ड एज टेस्ट ड्रिवन अप्रोच। नाउ टेल मी, इज इट एप्लीकेबल टू प्रोग्रामिंग ओनली? इज इट नॉट एप्लीकेबल टू रियल लाइफ ऑल्सो? In the kitchen when you make dishes, is this test driven approach applicable or not?
Yeah, correct.
Right. So it's applicable everywhere. Now, so we have done pair programming, right? We have done, which else we have done? We have done test driven approach, right? And refactoring was a part of test driven approach, right? So we have now another important thing, about XP is coding standards. Now, what is coding standards? Now, see, coding standards are more, term related to software development. See, when we follow any of the programming language like Java or Python, right, or C, C++ or PHP, we have to follow certain programming standards. For example, how should we name local variables? How should we name global variables? How should we name functions, right? So those standards must be there. Now, what is the benefit of coding standards? If such standards are there, what is the benefit, guys? Tell me if some standards are there. For example, you have to create a function to calculate, right? Suppose you have to create a function to calculate. So, every function should start with, right, a function and then the name of the function, right? If we use such standards, right? For example, every variable should start with the basic meaning of the variable. For example, if you have to create a variable employee name, right? So you should, you can do this variable in multiple ways in multiple languages, but an employee name should be like, e-name or, some coding standards. For example, the data type to be taken. So tell me if coding standards are there. Now see, since multiple people are working and creating programs, if we have right coding standards in place, will the program have more amount of, will the program written by different developers, will it be uniform or not? If standards and guidelines are there,
it increases the readability and easy to maintain basically.
will it be easy? See, the code that you are going to get will be uniform and easy to maintain, right? Yes or no? What do you think? Ishan?
Yes, sir.
Right. Ritesh?
Yes, of course. I mean, it will save more time also, I would say, in this.
And it will make learning also easy across the teams, right? Now, why coding standards are important? Because XP, emphasizes on collective code ownership, right? XP emphasizes on collective code ownership, right? The, programs will not be owned by a single person, right? The whole, what all programs you have, they are owned by the whole team, right? And any pair of developers, right, can improve or amend any code, right? So there might be possibility that multiple people might be working on same set of code. Right? Is that okay? So from this perspective also, this is one of the practice, collective code ownership, which is followed in XP, right? So we have done collective code ownership, coding standard, test-driven development, right? Pair programming, right? Now, any question on the practices that we have discussed so far? Any questions, guys? So any questions on the practices discussed so far, guys?
No, sir.
No. Okay. Now, one of the practices is simple design. Now, what do you mean by simple design? What do you mean by simple design? Many times, do we overcomplicate design or not? Now see, we can start with a very simple design and then we can refine it incrementally and iteratively.
Easy to implement.
Easy to implement, right? Don't overcomplicate things. Right? In fact, you should ask a question, right? The team should ask question to themselves, right? For what is the simplest thing that should work, right? So we have done pair programming, collective ownership, test-driven development, coding standard, refactoring, right? And test-driven approach, simple design. Now, what is a metaphor? What is a metaphor? Metaphor is also one of the practices. I explained you metaphor. Now, somebody from you have to explain what is metaphor, guys.
Particular specifications.
No. Metaphor, I explained you what is, can you explain your design or can you communicate or explain design in very easy terms?
Correct.
So that every stakeholder can understand. Right?
In fact, layman should understand.
So your design and technical vision should be understood by even non-technical stakeholders, right? Now I gave you example also about the billing module, right?
So this is the definition of metaphor, right?
Metaphor is basic, right? Metaphor means explaining, in this context, in the context of XP, metaphor and similes are used to design and create shared technical vision, right? For example, the billing module is like an accountant who makes sure transactions are entered into the appropriate accounts and balances are created, right? For example, I also gave you example that, if suppose you have to create a highly secured system, you can say that, our system should be as secured as Great Wall of China. Is that okay? So is the meaning of metaphor clear to all of you?
Correct.
Right. Now, sustainable pace. Now, what is sustainable pace, guys? Now, tell me, this will come as an important principle in Agile principles also. If I say the team should be able to work at a sustainable pace for indefinite amount of time, right? Consistent pace, rather than, calling team multiple times to work overtime. They should be able to work at sustainable pace. This is another important principle in XP. Right. Now, don't you think, the highest level of productivity is achieved by a team operating at a sustainable pace? If a team is working at a sustainable pace, don't you think highest amount of productivity is achieved? Provided team is skilled. You don't have any hello world programmers or copy paste programmers. So what do you think about sustainable pace, Ritesh?
Yes, Pankaj. So I think, as you said, I think it should be on the same pace for the, as you said, indefinite time, not like sometime maybe overboard or something.
See, if I am getting a consistent performance of 6 hours, let's say on daily basis from the team, it is better, right? Than team, who is working for long hours on regular basis. See, working on long hours on 1 or 2 occasions is okay, right? But not on consistent basis. So XP, in fact, not only XP, every Agile framework and methodology, they emphasize on team working at a sustainable pace, right?
Can we simply also say that like we have sprint, so a sprint always have a fixed time slot. to move.
No,
So
no. But sprint has a fixed time, but sustainable pace means, the team members are working 6 hours a day or 8 hours a day, not,
Okay.
spending 13 hours or 14 hours every day.
Okay.
Now tell me, when do team spend 13 hours or 14 hours a day? What can be the possible reasons?
Maybe there is a delay, or they are not maybe able to complete the task on the assigned time frame.
One can be bad planning.
Yes,
Second, skills are missing.
of course.
And sometimes, but again, sometimes they're forced, but again, they're forced because of bad planning only, right? So bad planning and skills are one of the two reasons why people work for long hours, right? So
Right.
sustainable pace means, you should not be spending long hours every day. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? Divya, Charu, Shelja?
Yes, Pankaj.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay. Now, a very, very important concept, continuous integration. Now, what is continuous integration, guys? Have you heard of continuous integration? Have you heard of continuous integration? Now, can I explain you continuous integration with the help of a diagram? Look at this diagram. This diagram explains continuous integration. Now, I'll give you 3 to 4 minutes to at least look at this diagram, right? Then we'll discuss what is meant by continuous integration, right? And it's a very, very important XP practice. Now, are you able to interpret something from this diagram? Now, let me explain. See, this is a very, very important concept, so please listen carefully. How many people are performing code writing code in this scenario? In this diagram, how many people are writing the source code, guys? Tell me, look at the diagram and tell me how many people are writing the different programs.
3 people.
3 people, right? And would there be some interdependencies between their programs? Yes or no?
It may be.
Yes,
So,
Pankaj, there would be.
there are 3 people writing the source code, right? And there is some dependency, right? Now tell me, if one of them modify his program, will it impact the others, the overall functionality or not?
Yes.
Right? Any modification, because see, suppose these three people are working on their own individual program files, but again, there is a kind of a communication between these program files, right? They coordinate, they're dependent on each other. If any of these will modify their code, right, it will impact the others. Now, if this thing is handled manually, it can be very challenging, right? So we use continuous integration. Now, continuous integration means the moment, the system that will perform continuous integration, right? Now, it is often integrated with your version control system, right? Or your code repository. See, the moment there's a change in any of the program in the source code repository, the continuous, this tool will compile the whole program once again. And during the compilation, right, if the program is not compiled properly, right, or not run properly, right, a fail notification is gone to the team that, some integration issue is there. If it compiles successfully, then the next step is the source code is built and tested, right? The testing needs testing to ensure that, there is a modification in one of the file or two of the file, right? But still all the test cases are working fine. The code, the integrated code is functioning the way it should. So guys, is the whole concept of continuous integration clear? Are you understanding what is continuous integration?
Yeah, correct.
Right. Suppose suppose we are 13 people here, right? We are working on different files, and if our files are interdependent, now if I modify my code, right? If I modify my code, will it have some impact on others' code like Ishan's program or not?
I should.
It will not.
It will, because because Ishan might be calling some functions from my code, right? Yes or no?
Yes, Pankaj.
For example, even if I suppose Ishan is calling a function called calc, CALC, right? Now, if I rename and he's calling this function from my file, and if I rename that file to calculation, will Ishan's code work?
No.
No. So to detect this manually, will it be tedious process or not? See, specifically when so many people have so many dependencies with each other, right? Now, what happens if any such mistake issue happen, right? See, finally, the integrated code, right, is there in the source code control system, and this continuous integration tool ensures that, right? Ensures that, if there is any issue like this, right? If there is any conflicting issue like this, right, it will immediately send the notification to people that, okay, this code is not able to compile. There are issues related to these kind of dependencies, and you can fix it. Now, if it integrates properly, right, since some people have done modifications, you have to again test the code, because every functionality of the code should work fine, right? And this whole system is automated. So this is continuous integration. Are you understanding it or not? Vishal, are you okay with continuous integration concept?
So Pankaj, I mean, what you are suggesting is basically, I think, part of continuous integration, right? Because once code has been entered into something like data where which is a version management system, right?
Yeah.
So once the code is added, without any issue, right, as you're seeing, showing in the diagram as well, right? Then what it does is it sends the request, or like there is another tool which is a build management tool, that something
Or
like
like
right?
cruise control, or Docker, any any tool, right?
So that will pull, or like GitHub will push the data to the
Automatically
tool,
automatically pull.
correct. And it a build will be created, and then that build will be tested against like either unit testing, unit test cases, or integration test cases.
So there are it's a two-step process. First, this is a build tool.
Correct.
This is a build tool. This is your source code control. It can be, your CVS or SVN or any other GitHub or anything, right? And this is your build tool, right? Now, the moment it detects any change here, right? Because, it's like, constantly it will check. Constantly it will check whether there is a modification or not. If there is any modification, it will first build, right? If there are issues or compile, if there are issues with the compilation, send a notification. What are the issues, right? So people can fix it. But even if the code is built successfully, right, after everything is fixed, right, then there will be an integrated testing tool also with the whole system this whole is integrated, right, which will test whether all the test cases, right, or all the functionalities are working perfectly or not. Right, Vishal?
Yes.
You can add, right? So all this, the whole thing is integrated, right? That's why it is called as continuous integration. And if it is very challenging to perform this function manually. I have seen manually people performing it manually, and there are a lot of integration issues. Charu, are you okay with continuous integration?
Yes, sir.
So you're okay. Perfect. So I'm going back to the XP practices, right?
Sir, you mentioned in the beginning itself that there are some questions also on this topic.
Yes,
So,
yes, a lot of questions. Yes. So
you can pick some questions. It will give more clarity that how things are going to get fit into the place.
See, questions will be like, some basic concepts of pair programming, right?
Okay.
Some questions around continuous integration, right? Some questions around metaphor, use of metaphor, right? Some questions about, around test-driven development, right? They're commonly asked.
Okay.
Right? Now, see, we have done most of them. Now, few of the practices are left. For example, small releases, right? So obviously, just like any other agile approach, right? XP is also based on incremental and iterative delivery, right? Doing releases in making small releases, right? Instead of big bang releases, right? So that you get frequent feedbacks, right, from the customer and the business. Now, a lot of emphasis is given to customer tests here, right? Because, customer tests are primarily like acceptance criteria, right? And another important practice is whole team, right? Now, whole team primarily means that, the team, the people who are contributing, right? The team should be co-located, right? So that there is an enhanced amount of collaboration and communication between the team, right? And, the team, there are various roles in XP, like XP customer, right? XP tester, XP developers, right? The roles can interchange, right? XP, like Scrum, XP also emphasizes on cross-functional team, right? So the person who is testing can develop also, right? And within pair programming, the person who is navigating can develop also, and people can work on each other's code as well if required, right? So this is the concept of whole team. Now, another important concept in XP is planning games, right? Now, what is planning game, right? Planning game in the context of XP primarily refers to release planning and iteration planning, right? Both release planning as well as iteration planning should be done in a collaborative manner, right? Now, this is how the whole XP looks like. In terms of methodology, XP life cycles look like this. Now, please look at this diagram. These are the roles in XP. XP coach, the customer, programmer, and the tester. These are the roles in XP. XP coach is more like a Scrum Master or Agile coach. XP customer is more like a product owner. Then we have programmer and tester as a separate role. Now, this is the XP life cycle. If you have any questions, you can ask me. Now, any questions? Any questions about the whole XP life cycle that you see in front, that you have in front of you?
So where are the scenarios where XP is generally expected to be followed?
I'll tell you what. See, generally the preferred trend is like this. See, you know, for delivery management, right? For delivery management, Scrum is a very sound framework, right, Charu?
Yes.
But tell me, when I'm following Scrum in a software development environment, does Scrum talks about any of the technical practice?
No.
Now, so can we do one thing? Can we follow Scrum for delivery management, and can we take technical practices like pair programming, coding standards, test-driven approach, right, from XP? Right? If we do this, will it augment Scrum or not? Right? For example, continuous integration is a very, very important practice. So, for basic management, delivery management, you can use Scrum. You can take many of the technical practices from XP. In fact, you know, as we discussed, you can further augment Scrum by using Lean and Kanban.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Why not?
And when we are talking about XP programming, do we have to follow all the practices, or we can omit some and just absorb some?
Charu, you know, I'll use one word here. Right? I'll use one word here. I'm writing it. Is this okay?
Yeah, fine, makes sense. I mean,
Choose
the
your
only
own way of
point is,
working.
are
Right.
these
Yeah.
practices, when used synchronously, they give the better outputs, or it is up to us how do we want to make use of
Up to you. Up to you. To you. Because see, who are they to decide? I would rather say who are they to decide, right?
Okay.
See, they don't know your environment. They don't know your skills also, right? So, you know, you know your environment better. See, these are reference standards, right?
Okay.
Refer to them, but finally choose your own way of working based on your need.
Okay.
Right?
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Right. Now, see, you know, you might be seeing again, you know, though we discussed last week, but XP, you know, put a lot of focus on spike. Right? Now, what is spike? You know, we discussed, because see, why I'm using this word spike, because you will see the spike word in some questions in PMP exam. What is a spike? We discussed last time. You see spike a lot of times here. What is a spike?
Different kind of approaches to develop a project. I mean, to develop a product
Last
that
time
can
we
be.
discussed. But see, we discussed spike also. We discussed risk-based spike also.
A technical proof of
Whenever,
concept.
yeah, Vishal, will you explain Spike? We said whenever you have a doubt regarding any technology, any architecture, right?
When we are not sure of to get
So
out the definition of done and the expectations, then the spikes comes into picture.
see, spike is when you are not, you are thinking about some architecture, you are thinking about some technology, right? And you are doubtful whether it will work or not, right? So you run an initial experiment at a very low level to validate whether this technology will work in your project or not. For example, suppose you are planning to use a technology framework in your project, but you are doubtful whether it will work in your project or not. So what you do is, in a very small component, you use that technology, right? If it works there, you will use it in your project. If it does not work, you will not use it. This is Spike. Spike is a small experiment, like a proof of concept to validate whether something will work in your project or not. Is it clear now, Isha?
Yes, Pankaj.
Right. Now, I gave you examples of technical context. Spike can be used in non-technical context also. For example, if a team member is about to join your team, but through various resources, you came to know that, this guy is very difficult to work with. So can you run a spike here? By you can assign a small amount of work to him with some few team members. Now, if you observe that this guy is gelling well as a team member with these people, right, you will take him in further, right? You will finally absorb him in your team. But if in the small amount of work given to him, he has conflict, right? And you observe that he's not a team player, he has a very high ego, there are a lot of conflicts, you will not absorb him in the team, right? So this is spike. Is it clear? Vishal, are you okay with spike? Now, you can run, when you run it in the context of architecture validation, it is called as architectural spike. It is spike, and this is also called as risk-based spike, right? And often this is also called as, the spike is also called as safe to fail experiment. Can I call them as safe to fail? See, is safe to or failing fast? Is failing fast better or not? See, earlier you detect the failure, better it is. Earlier you detect the failure, better it is or not? Because if if a technology may not be able to work in a project, if you don't run spike, what will happen? You will start building based on the technology, and by the time you will come to know that it won't work in some of the areas, it's too late. So later you fix the mistake, more is the money you have to pay. Yes or no? Tell me, guys, tell me.
Yes.
Right? Is that okay? So before we move forward, any questions on XP, guys? Any question on extreme programming? So, before I move forward, I would like some of you to describe, some important concept. Pair programming. Who will describe? Because as we have discussed about pair programming, who will describe pair programming to me? To all of us. Ishan, will you describe pair programming to all of us? What is pair programming? Which is important practice to be followed in XP? Ishan, are you there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, please explain, just explain to everyone what is pair programming. So how many people write a single program in pair programming, Ishan?
4 to 5.
No. Pair programming. See, pair programming is like this. I'm just opening the screen, right? So that it makes things easier for you, right? Now, can you recall pair programming?
Right.
Two people work on a program. One is driver, another is navigator. Who will write the code, driver or navigator?
Driver.
Driver. And who will review the code and who will give suggestions regarding the code?
Navigator.
Navigator, right? And will they exchange the position also?
Yes, they can.
They can, right? So, and another important aspect of XP is collective code ownership, right? They not only they will exchange the position, other set of pair programmer can work on the same code also, right? It's a collective code ownership. Code is not owned by any pair or any individual in XP, right? Another important aspect of XP is test-driven development. Another important aspect of XP is test-driven development. Who will explain me test-driven development or TDD? Who will explain me TDD? Just explain at a basic level. Tell me, guys. Ritesh, will you explain TDD?
Yes,
development. Yeah, sure.
Yes. So basically, in that test-driven development, we first write the test that to benchmark to fail, and then probably
just stop it. So when we write the test cases, right? Does developer write test cases based on his own, right? Based on his own whims and fancy or his own understanding, or is it discussed with business people, right? Customers and all the other people? So he should he be first thorough with? Should they be first thorough with the requirements or not?
Yes, they first follow the requirements. What is to be actually basic understanding of the requirement, what they need to do. Then they write test that and then probably they move forward for.
Yeah. So when they write test case, right? After writing test cases with the aim to pass the test case, they will write the program, right? Now, see, even while writing the program, there will be multiple attempts and they might fail.
Yes.
The test cases may not pass, right?
Right.
Now, obviously, after a certain point of times, all the test cases may pass, right? Now, when the test case passes, right, you call it as green.
Right.
Now, should you stop here or should you further clean the code also?
Yes, refactoring. We do.
Refactoring is clean the code, right?
Yes.
Now, clean the code is important. Why? Because when you clean the code, it means you properly comment the code, right? You properly indent the code. See, this is primarily important because, XP is all about collective code ownership. So that, if you give your code to somebody else, right, he should be able to interpret the code very easily. He can, if there is any addition to be written, right, or if somebody has to modify your code, he can understand it very properly, right? The code becomes very code is very easy to maintain, right?
Easy to understand and maintain.
Yes, easy to understand and maintain, right? So that's why we follow refactoring, right? So it's red, green, and refactor, right?
Yeah.
Which is test-driven approach. And sometimes in the PMP exam also, they use, instead of using the word test-driven approach, they might say red, green, and refactor, right?
Okay.
Now, coding standards. Why coding standards are important in XP? This is one of the practice also. Why they're important in XP? Anushri, can you explain why coding standards are important in XP? I think Anushri is not there. Charu, can you explain why coding standards are important?
Coding standards are important to maintain the consistency across the project and to align the whole team into one process, that whatsoever is being followed, that is easily understood by the other team if we are following the code in long run.
Absolutely, absolutely, right? So code, and plus, we are talking about collective code ownership, right?
Yeah.
So, if coding standards are there, the code, again, just like refactoring, the proper coding standards are followed, code will be more maintainable, right? Now,
Yes, the code becomes maintainable, and for future perspective also, it is easy to understand in a long team which we are working on.
देखो मैं आपको एग्जांपल बताता हूँ, मैं इसलिए बता रहा हूँ क्योंकि ये बड़ा टिपिकल एग्जांपल है. आई यूज्ड टू वर्क फॉर सिटी ग्रुप, राइट. अब सिटी ग्रुप में हम लोगों ने आउटसोर्स किया हुआ था सारा का, एक कंपनी थी पाथ इन्फोटेक को. अब वहां पे जो लैंडिंग सॉफ्टवेयर बनता था, राइट, हम बनाते थे लैंडिंग सॉफ्टवेयर, लोन मैनेजमेंट सिस्टम जिसमें अमोर्टाइजेशन ये सब होता है. तो आप हंसोगे कि जब पाथ इन्फोटेक के बंदे, व्हेन आई स्टार्टेड रिव्यूइंग द कोड, उन्होंने स्टोर्ड प्रोसीजर के नाम पता है क्या लिखे हुए थे, राइट. स्टोर्ड प्रोसीजर का नाम है एक डुप्लीकेट चेकर है, श्रीदेवी अंडरस्कोर डुप्लीकेट चेक, ये स्टोर्ड प्रोसीजर का नाम है. So tell me, and anybody was following any standards? So ऐसा अगर प्रोग्राम सब लिखने लगे, तो what will be the implication, guys?
There is no standard process.
देखो स्टैंडर्ड प्रोसेस है, किसी को समझ नहीं आएगा क्या हो रहा है. एटलीस्ट अगर एक कोड अमोर्टाइजेशन का लिख रहे हो तो उसके जो फंक्शन में अमोर्टाइजेशन वर्ड तो आना चाहिए ना यार.
Right.
Right. So again, so standards are very, very important. Now, हमने एक और, we also use one important term here with respect to XP, which is called as metaphor. मैं दोबारा इसलिए बोल रहा हूँ कि ये questions मेरे को दिखाई दे रहे हैं, right? So what is a metaphor? Who will explain metaphor? What is a metaphor? अरे metaphor बहुत simple term थी यार.
Very
See, if you have,
used the Great Wall of China example.
Yeah,
if you have
simple
to
words.
If we have to explain a technical thing in a simple language to a non-technical person.
Yeah, or any, we can use metaphors, absolutely, right? Now, see, we have discussed easily understandable, right? So that everybody understands, right? See, many times you use technical jargons to non-technical people. It overcomplicates the situation, right? And obviously there are many non-technical stakeholders who are involved with the project, like customer, right, business people, and they're also very key stakeholders, right? Now, that's all about extreme programming, right? Now, I have discussed about roles also. We have discussed about all the important concepts of extreme programming, right? We also discussed how it can be used along with Scrum, right? It has, it adds on to Scrum by adding technical practices like test-driven approach, continuous integration, right? Now, can we have a short 10 minutes break? Then we'll start with feature-driven development, which is another approach, right, for managing agile projects. So can we take a 10 minutes break?
Just one thing, Pankaj, just like Kanban, XP also just augments Scrum. It does not change anything in Scrum.
No. Yeah, it can. It doesn't change anything in Scrum. It augments, right? And having said this, you can use XP also in a standalone way without Scrum, right? You can use Kanban also in a standalone way, right? In the context of Kanban, when we use only Kanban, right, without Scrum, it is called as flow-based agile, if you remember, right? They can be used, right? They can be used to augment Scrum also, right? They can be used in a standalone way also, right? So we are taking a 10 minutes break, then we'll start with feature-driven development.
I have a question here, Pankaj.
Yeah, sure. Yeah,
so, I mean, maybe you have already covered this. I might have missed, but I want to.
No. It's fine.
In what situation or what condition we should be going for XP rather than Scrum or Kanban?
See, if I have a very high performance team, right, very highly skilled programmers, सबसे पहले XP is more about software development only, right? Don't try to use it in infrastructure projects or any other projects, right? It's software development specific. See, if I have very high-end, very solid programmers, right? If we have a very solid automated mechanism for continuous integration, right? Why not I use XP?
So do we have like any comparisons between all these, frameworks? Like when should we use Scrum? When should we use Kanban? When should we use XP?
See,
So
I
that
used to
I
have,
can get a
see, I
clear
think-
picture, for example.
see, long back I used to have it. I still remember during my work when I used to work when I was in a job, I used to have it. But this is an important point actually. Now we do it randomly. We discuss it randomly during the class, right? For example, see, some practices of Scrum are very important, right, for delivery management. If I use Scrum and add XP, right, in terms of all the technical practices of XP and some of the practices of Lean Kanban, it will become very rich. It will augment Scrum. So, rather than because all these approaches complement them, right? I'll not say, don't use XP or don't use Scrum or FDD or Lean Kanban. See, all the practices have something relevant and important and valuable. So you should understand conceptually about all these approaches, methodologies, and framework, and then based on what you need, based on that, you can choose your own way of working. This is my suggestion.
Yeah, that's right, Pankaj. But as a PMP certified person, right? One is expected to have like understanding of all these models, and you should be
very
knowing
thorough.
what is pros and cons of each and everything, right?
Yes.
Because you may be asked to like do a presentation on
I see.
what is suggestible.
See, for example, see, you should understand what is new in XP, what is not there in Scrum, right? You should know what is there in Kanban, what is not there in Scrum, right? Which we have discussed. But strictly saying that, what are the, we know the pros and cons of each and every methodology, right? If you want a comparison chart, we can create, right? But, finally, in what situation to use what, it is very difficult to create. Now, the best thing is to use a hybrid, method based on your environment. Because, see, PMP is not prescriptive framework, right? They will not prescribe. They will say, these are the methodologies and framework available to you. These are the pros and cons. Now, I don't know as a PM, I don't know what is your environment. Based on your environment, right, which you know better, you can choose your own way of working.
Correct. Yeah, but I think having that comparison chart, as you're mentioning, would certainly help up to an extent to identify like which is the right framework to go in this condition.
Yes, I think. See, but it will take time because see, 10-12 years ago, all right, it's 10 years ago, right? 10 years ago, I quit my job. I used to have it then, and we used to discuss a lot about that comparison, right? But unfortunately, or it's very strange that after so many years, you are the first one who has asked me about that comparison chart.
Okay.
And I think we should have a brief comparison chart also, right? Yes, we can develop, right?
Okay. Yeah, I think I can certainly like try to find out online as well. I think.
See, I used to have a table, right, comparing most of the methodologies. Because those days, I used to work. I was in a job, and we have to tell customer about pros and cons of each, right? But again, this is the right thing. We can create a comparison chart.
Theoretically, I think I get everything that you're teaching. Like from exam point of view is also, I think this is good. But I'm thinking from practical point of view, as a certified person, you are expecting each and everything.
I agree. We can during the course, right? We can create a comparison chart also. Yes, you're right. Now, can we take a short 10 minutes break? Then we'll start with feature-driven development.
Sure.
Perfect. You are there. So we are starting with feature-driven development now, right? Which is again an iterative and incremental approach, right? Now, in feature-driven development, first we are going to build the overall model for the product or solution to be built, right? Now, after we have built the overall model or a domain object model, we will create a feature list, right? And within the feature list, there will be multiple features, right? We'll ensure that the size of the feature is less than 2 weeks, right? And after building the feature list, we'll plan the work accordingly. We'll plan the work by feature, right? And then, eventually we are going to design by feature and build by feature. Now, first of all, the first step, right? The first step in, feature-driven development is to build a domain object model of the overall system. The first step is to build the domain object model of the entire system, right? Then we have to break this domain object model into feature list, and then we are going to plan, design and develop by features, right? So when I say domain object model of the whole system, how do you visualize a domain object model? Has any one of you created a domain object model of the whole system? Tell me. The first step here is to build a model of the whole system. Can I show you a domain object model? Can I show you a domain object model first, guys? Ishan, have you ever seen a domain object model? Ishan, are you there?
No, sir. I haven't used it.
Okay. So let me show you a domain object model first, right? Now, can you see? See, this is a domain object model for a retail store, right? For a sales store or retail store. Now, tell me, looking at this model, are you able to interpret the bigger picture of the system, the overall model of the system? Right? For example, in any retail stores, the sales is captured in a register, sales register. Sale, right? For, a sale is associated with a payment. And in a single invoice, in a single sale, there can be multiple sales items, right? And these sales items are taken from the catalog item, and these items are actually stored in a warehouse or a store. So tell me, is this whole bigger picture telling you about the overall functionality or not? This is called as domain object model. Now, Ritesh, Ishan, Isha, Divya, right? Charu, Vishal, Nitin, and others also, right? Are you able to interpret what is this domain object model? This is the overall functionality of the system.
It's basically a process flow, right?
It's, anyway, see, again, previously people used to write.
Point back. Did I miss something?
We have started with a new methodology called as feature-driven development. Now, it is again just like every agile methodology. It's a iterative and incremental way of development, right? The process to be followed here is, first of all, we'll build the overall model of the system, right? Like the way it is there for a sales tool. We'll build overall model of the system. Then we'll break this model into a feature list, right? Okay. Now, after we have list of features available, then we will plan, design, and build by features, right? And when we break this whole model into features, we have to ensure that the feature should be less than 2 weeks. It should be maximum 2 weeks. Charu, are you able to interpret what is this domain object model? It's a domain model for a retail store. Shelja, are you able to interpret this?
Yes, Pankaj.
Right? Now tell me, any sales store, does it need to store the payment related to sales or not?
It does.
Yeah, it has to record all the sales also. So payment records, sales records, right? Sales details records, an item or a product catalog, right? Store records. You can have one or multiple stores, right? So you have to generate stores, right? Sales registers where sales are, the sales are finally captured in. Now, see, these are all features only. So this whole domain object model can be broken into multiple features, right? And then, right, based on this feature list, you can plan by feature, you can design by feature, and you can build by feature. This is feature-driven development, right? And it is again an incremental and iterative approach. You have to ensure one thing, that feature should be less than 2 weeks. So are you able to interpret what I'm trying to say?
Just one small question.
Yeah.
When we say domain object model, it means that when we know about the product, then we are considering it as a domain object, or
You should know. See, how can you construct this model without having a detailed requirement, right?
No. It's not about requirement. I mean, which all every entity could be considered as domain object, or there are.
No, see, entities are these. No, see, these are all entities, right? It's a relationship between entities and attributes.
Okay.
Right? Now, unlike entity relationship diagram, when you talk about object-oriented analysis and design, right? Typically, when you talk about system, right, SSAD. In SSAD, we were using, entity relationship diagrams, data flow diagrams, those things. But when you talk about object-oriented analysis and design, right, OOAD, now in that, we have class diagrams, sequence diagrams, collaboration diagrams, right? Now this domain object model is also called as class object model, right? It's just like a class diagram only.
Okay.
Right. So, right, these are various entities, these are various attributes, right? Like sales line item, quantity and other attributes will be there, right? So they depict, the macro level functionality.
Okay.
Right? So now I'm just going back. So can anybody tell me what is feature-driven development? Now, is feature-driven development iterative and incremental approach? Say yes or no. Simply say, is it an iterative and incremental?
Yes.
What is the first step? Will you build overall model or not? Will you build right? Now, after you have built the overall model, yeah, right? What is the next step? You will decompose it into feature list.
Yes.
Right? Now, when you decompose a model into features, right? The size of the feature should be less than what? I gave you some figure. 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Right? It should be less than 2 weeks, right? Now, once we have a feature list available, can you deliver by feature? Can you plan by feature, design by feature, build by feature? Deliver one feature first, then deliver second feature, and so on and so forth. Can you do this?
Yes, we can do it feature wise.
Right, that's it. So this is a feature-driven development. Now, one area that I would like to touch here is, there is a difference between feature-driven development and extreme programming in one way. Right? Now, you have 4 bulleted points, right? One bulleted point is exactly opposite to what XP has. What is that bulleted point?
Individual class code ownership.
Now, in case of extreme programming, was it an individual class code ownership or was it a collective code ownership?
Collective code ownership.
Collective, right? So here, they say it's, it's a belief. And as whether you have to follow their belief or XP's belief, it all depends on your environment, right? So you have to choose your own way. Feature, these people believe that, if only one person work on one code, then the code will be more consistent and stable, right? So they prefer, right, that single, a single owner for a particular program, right, for consistency, performance, and conceptual integrity, right? So it is exactly opposite to extreme programming, which talks about collective code ownership, right? Now, whether in your project, should you follow individual class ownership or collective? Tell me, can it be predefined or it depends on the environment? Whether you should follow individual class code ownership or collective, right? Can it be predefined for any environment that, okay, this is XP says, collective code ownership, that is much better, or feature driven says individual class code ownership, it is better, or it depends on your environment. See, see whether to use individual class code ownership, right, or a collective code ownership. It depends on the skill level of the people. It depends on the level of collaboration among the people. It depends on how rich and matured your processes are. Do you agree or not?
Yes, Pankaj.
Yeah.
It depends on the work.
It depends, right? You can see, we can only see, they have suggested, all these methodologies have suggested their recommendation, right? But again, whether you have to use one or another, it all depends on your environment. So I would always say you should be aware of all these good practices, but finally choose your own way of working based on your own environment, right? Now, this is in brief about, right, feature-driven development. Right? Now, there are few points which are not there here. Just like every other agile methodology, right? It will also focus a lot on inspections, good quality design and code, right? It will also emphasize on continuous integration, configuration management, right? And it will also emphasize on visibility of progress and results. Now, any questions on FDD before we move to the next one?
I have one question, Pankaj.
Yeah, sure.
So basically what I have understood is that in feature-driven development, we are designing the architecture basically upfront, right?
First is an overall model, right? First step is overall model, yes.
Correct. So, I mean, as per my understanding of Scrum says that, designing and architecture or model is an
Very good question. Very good question, right? Vishal has asked a very good question, right? Now, to explain Vishal's question, what Vishal is saying that, in Scrum, they say that, from sprint 1 onwards, right? From the beginning, from sprint one onwards, you start building your architecture and design also, and slowly you develop it. And along these things like architecture and design, you will start building functionality also. They suggest that, deliver something functional right from the first sprint, however small it is, it does not matter, right? Right, Vishal?
Yes.
Right? Now see, I'll show you another diagram, right? Just a second. I hope, this question is very relevant and important. So I hope you have understood the question that Vishal has asked, right? I hope, you have understood the question, everyone.
Yes, Pankaj.
This is a very, very relevant question, right? Now,
Pankaj, can you once again explain this question?
See, Vishal is saying that, what Scrum suggests, what Scrum framework suggests is right from sprint 1, you will start building your architecture design, right? And in parallel, you should do construction also. And he's absolutely right in terms of what Scrum says, right?
Okay.
Now, I'm just opening another PPT for you to show you something. Just a second, please. Sir, can you see my slide? Can you see my slide?
Yes, Pankaj, it is good.
Yes,
Tell me,
Pankaj.
we say that, we start everything from sprint 1 in Scrum, right? But don't you think, even before you start sprint 1, you require these activities like forming the team, exploring the scope, identifying the architecture strategy, plan the release, some basic thing like common vision. Don't you think these things, right? Don't you think these things should be ready, even before you have first version of the product backlog? Before you have first version of the product backlog, these things should be ready. Say yes or no. Look at all these steps.
Yes.
And I have used the word inception for this. Should they be there even before sprint 1 or not? Even before the product backlog is ready?
Yes, they all should be available.
They all should be available, right? And then, you can start sprinting, which Scrum says, right? Construction, right? Transition, they should happen together, and there can be ongoing activities also. Vishal, yes or no?
Yes, Pankaj.
Now, where are these activities in Scrum? Where are these activities? And why aren't they there in Scrum? देखो, listen very carefully. देखो, एक एवरेज टीम है वो ऐसे ही काम करती है. पहले उसे इंसेप्शन करना होता है. इंसेप्शन में बेसिक रिक्वायरमेंट्स हमें मिल जाती हैं, राइट? बेसिक आर्किटेक्चर मिल जाता है हमें, राइट? बेसिक विजन मिल जाता है, टेस्ट अप्रोच, सब कुछ मिल जाता है, बेसिक मिल जाता है, फंडिंग आ जाती है, राइट? और इसके बाद जब इतना सा मिल जाएगा तो हम एक फर्स्ट लेवल ऑफ प्रोडक्ट बैकलॉग बना पाएंगे, राइट? And then we'll start sprinting, sprint 1, sprint 2, sprint 3, and so on and so forth. Is that okay? This is how, and this is called as inception. Now, some people call it inception and some people call it sprint 0. Have you heard of sprint 0?
Or we can say initial stage.
Initial stage, inception or sprint 0, and some people call it discovery phase also.
Okay.
But again, if you go and answer a question in Scrum clearly
Or can we say assessment stage?
Whatever you call it. See, the names are the popular names are discovery phase, sprint 0, or inception. These three are the popular names, right? Now, Scrum says there is nothing called as discovery or inception or sprint 0. We start from sprint 1. Now, what is logic behind this when Scrum says this? What is logic behind this? See, I'll tell you. One logic can be, Scrum may have missed the picture. Scrum does not include these activities as a part of Scrum framework. They assume that they are already done before we start. This can be one scenario, guys. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yeah, Pankaj.
This can be one. Second is, see, Scrum has one prerequisite. One of the prerequisite of Scrum is self-managed high-performing teams. Now, when I say high-performance teams, right? Because see, even the latest version of SAFe, Scaled Agile, SAFe 6, which is very close to Scrum, in their videos, multiple times these people say high-performance teams, highly performing teams. Now, when you talk about highly performing teams or high-performance teams are capable. High-performance teams are capable of, right, of designing, right, or exploring, designing, and delivering parallelly, but not all the teams. Are you getting my point or not? Vishal, are you getting my point or not?
I'm trying to understand, Pankaj.
Because Scrum बना था, Scrum देखो, see, Scrum को embrace बिना सोचे समझे किया है लोगों ने. Scrum सबके लिए नहीं बना था. Scrum बना था high performance teams के लिए, जो कि on a scale of 10 all are above 8. अगर Scrum की टीम में जावा प्रोग्रामर्स हैं तो आउटस्टैंडिंग जावा प्रोग्रामर्स हैं, वो हेलो वर्ड और कॉपी पेस्ट वाले प्रोग्रामर्स नहीं चाहिए.
Okay, so Pankaj, I mean, one thing that I've heard about high performing teams, or what I've learned about high performing teams, is that we don't have high performing teams right from day one. Right?
अरे वो वाला छोड़ दो, रुकीस आएंगे, वो बन जाएंगे, इतनी देर में तो सारा लेके चला जाएगा कोई. स्क्रम में डे 1 से हमें हाई परफॉर्मिंग टीम चाहिए.
Okay, then when we used to call the four different stages of team.
मैं क्लियरली बताता हूँ आपको. मैंने स्क्रम का इम्प्लीमेंटेशन जब सर्विसेज कंपनी में देखा, when I saw Scrum implemented in service companies, most of the majority of the service companies were struggling in Scrum. On the contrary, when I saw the implementation in product development companies who have been working on a same product together, right, from so long, मैंने RateGain got acquired with some other company and I went there for a Scrum audit. When I saw implementation of Scrum there, it was outstanding. And I personally asked to their CEO, why you are calling me to audit here? Your team is so bright. See, every sprint, at the end of every sprint, they were releasing so neatly and so cleanly. The continuous integration was implemented so beautifully. But the reason was, same team has been working on the same product for past 10 years. Imagine, the domain knowledge was so good. The requirements were crystal clear to them. Technically, they have been working on the same technology for past 10 years, very thorough technically also. अब ऐसी टीम तो पहले दिन से सेल्फ मैनेज्ड है. बट ट्राई टू अंडरस्टैंड. अब यही प्रोजेक्ट मैं एक्सेंचर को दे देता हूं अगर करने के लिए, जहां पे हर 6 महीने में या 12 दिन में, 12 महीने में लोगों के प्रोजेक्ट बदल रहे हैं, वो काम कर सकते हैं ऐसे क्या? सी, इफ यू नीड सेल्फ मैनेज टीम फ्रॉम डे 1, right, then you have to have long standing team who have worked on same kind of technology, same kind of domain. Generally क्या होगा, high performance, you're right, generally high performance team take times. बहुत सारी टीम को परफॉर्मिंग लेवल पे आने पे टाइम लगेगा, बट उन लोगों के लिए स्क्रम नहीं है. उन लोगों को स्टार्ट करना होगा इंसेप्शन से. Are you getting my point or not?
But so what I am thinking, Pankaj, is if we have like high performing teams from day one, right? So they know each and everything about the product, about the technology, right? So they don't have to wait for like multiple sprints to build the architecture, right?
अरे नहीं, ऐसा नहीं होता. मार्केट तो बदल रही है ना. मार्केट तो बदल रही है.
तो अगर मार्केट चेंज हो रहा है, तो हम जब ये बोल रहे हैं कि इंस्पेक्ट एंड अडॉप्ट, so that is for everyone, even for a new team, right, which is not high performing team.
न्यू टीम से तो काम ही नहीं हो रहा ना. न्यू टीम में एक बंदा आ रहा है, उसने एक नई टीम में ऐसा बंदा आ जाए जो जावा सीख रहा है अभी, तो कितनी भी स्क्रम चला लो, उससे जावा का प्रोग्राम लिखा तो जा नहीं रहा यार। प्रॉब्लम तो यहाँ पे आती है ना। देखो जावा ढंग से आती नहीं है, पाइथन ढंग से आती नहीं है। अब आप चले गए कोर टीम में खेलने के लिए, तो आप क्या, विल यू बी एबल टू क्रिएट पोटेंशियली शिपेबल प्रोडक्ट एवरी स्प्रिंट सो इजीली? और आप क्या विल यू बी एबल टू डू आर्किटेक्चर डिजाइन एंड डेवलपमेंट इन पैरेलल? इट्स नॉट दैट इजी।
ओके, तो पंकज, जब हम फीचर ड्रिवन डेवलपमेंट की बात कर रहे हैं तो स्क्रम में तो हम बात कर रहे हैं कि बहुत हाईली परफॉर्मेंट टीम होगी, राइट? इसलिए वो कर पा रहे हैं पैरेलली। बट फीचर ड्रिवन डेवलपमेंट में हम बोल रहे हैं कि फिर उतनी हाई परफॉर्मिंग टीम हमारे पास नहीं होगी, राइट?
नहीं देखो जनरली क्या है, ऐसा मैं कोई वर्ड नहीं यूज कर रहा, बट स्क्रम, प्रॉपर स्क्रम में कोई डिस्कवरी फेज नहीं, इसलिए नहीं है, दे डोंट हैव एनी डिस्कवरी फेज। देखो बिकॉज दे टॉक अबाउट सेल्फ मैनेज टीम्स, और ऐसी टीम्स होती भी हैं। There are some teams who can do all these things, like they can design, they can they can explore requirements, they can design architecture, and they can deliver incrementally, and they can improve architecture along the way, right? ऐसी teams होती है बहुत सारी, right? But सबके लिए applicable नहीं है ये। देखो अगर मैं पूछूंगा तो सभी अपने को हाई परफॉर्मेंस बताएंगे, बट हाई परफॉर्मेंस teams are self-managed, cross-functional teams.
Yeah, and I agree to that. Now my question is what I was thinking initially as well.
देखो
That in feature driven development, if we have to create the architecture upfront, so for that we will need like masters of their own
नहीं देखो आर्किटेक्चर पूरा नहीं, देखो ऑब्वियसली एज यू मूव फॉरवर्ड यू कैन इंप्रूव। मैं फ्रीज करने को नहीं कह रहा आर्किटेक्चर, देखो यहाँ पे भी लिखा हुआ है कि आइडेंटिफाई आर्किटेक्चर, एक्सप्लोर स्कोप, आइडेंटिफाई आर्किटेक्चर, राइट? तो यहाँ पे एक बेसिक आर्किटेक्चर तो आप बना ही सकते हो, और विच कैन बी रिफाइंड एज यू मूव फॉरवर्ड। देखो जैसे फीचर वैलिडेट होंगे तो आर्किटेक्चर को रिफाइन भी करोगे ना, बट एक बिल्डिंग ब्लॉक बना के रख लो पहले से। ओवरऑल मॉडल बनाने बहुत, देखो ओवरऑल मॉडल बनाने का बेनिफिट ये होता है, यू अंडरस्टैंड द बिगर पिक्चर। जो मैंने भी आपको मॉडल दिखाया है वो तो आधा अधूरा ही था ना, उसमें कहाँ थे सारे एट्रीब्यूट्स, कहाँ थे सारे फंक्शंस? वो तो बहुत बेसिक मॉडल है which will also be refined over a period of time. But overall concept तो बनाना पड़ेगा ना पहले। We have to have overall concept in place first of all.
तो इतना बेसिक तो फिर हम शायद स्क्रम में भी बनाते होंगे ना पंकज?
देखो बना सकते हैं, देखो आपके ऊपर है। स्क्रम कहता है कि काउंट नहीं करता इंसेप्शन और डिस्कवरी या स्प्रिंट जीरो। कभी स्क्रम में हाँ यस यू आर राइट, हम ऐसा करते हैं कि हम अपनी ये वाली फेस कर लेते हैं, उसके बाद बेसिक बना लेते हैं, फिर उसके बाद हम शुरू हो जाते हैं स्प्रिंट 1, स्प्रिंट 2, स्प्रिंट 3। बट जो स्क्रम है उसमें विजिबिलिटी नहीं है ना इस वाले फेस की, इंसेप्शन की, ये बोल रहा हूँ। बट बनाना चाहिए, यू आर राइट।
एफडीडी में ये मेंशन है कि हम ऐसा कुछ फेज रखेंगे, राइट?
मॉडल का मतलब ही है।
ओके,
देखो आइडियली एजाइल गो लाइक दिस, इंसेप्शन, कंस्ट्रक्शन, ट्रांजिशन, राइट? ये स्प्रिंटिंग हमारी यहाँ पे होगी।
इज दिस द मॉडल फॉर एफडीडी दैट यू आर सेइंग?
नहीं, ये मॉडल है डिसिप्लिन एजाइल का। एक्चुअली पीएमआई का एक और कोर्स है डिसिप्लिन एजाइल सीनियर स्क्रम मास्टर,
तो
राइट? व्हिच इज
एफडीडी में
आफ्टर
फिर ये मेंशन है कि ये सारे स्टेजेस जो है वो होना चाहिए, स्क्रम में अगर नहीं है तो
देखो एफडीडी ने जो बोला है वो बोला है इंक्रीमेंटली एंड इटरेटिवली, राइट? आप अपने हिसाब से ऐड कर सकते हो चीजें। देखो ये तो करना ही पड़ेगा ना, आपको टीम फॉर्म करनी पड़ेगी, राइट? स्कोप एक्सप्लोर करना पड़ेगा। देखो विदाउट एक्सप्लोरिंग द स्कोप कैन यू क्रिएट अ मॉडल? यू कांट क्रिएट इवन अ मॉडल, राइट? एंड even before creating a model you have to have architecture strategy in place, right? So मैं ये सिर्फ बोल रहा हूँ कि स्क्रम को एक्चुअली a lot of people don't interpret it properly. अब क्या होता है, किसी एक एवरेज टीम ने sprint 1 से start कर दिया architecture भी बनाना और develop भी करना सिर्फ based on the bookish knowledge of Scrum, right? Tell me, will it lead to bigger failure or not? देखो हमारा बेसिक पर्पस है इन प्रोसेसेस को फ्रीज करना नहीं है प्रोसेस, राइट? हमारा पर्पस ये नहीं है कि कैसे भी इनको फॉलो करना, हमारा पर्पस ये है कि हाउ कैन वी यूज दीज फ्रेमवर्क्स एंड मेथडोलॉजीज सो दैट our project outcome becomes better and better. This is the goal.
Correct. Yes.
हमारा ये पर्पस थोड़ी कि हम स्क्रम फॉलो करें या एफडीडी फॉलो करें. हमारा है कैसे भी हमारे प्रोजेक्ट we have to maximize value from our project and that is the main goal of being agile. देखो agile का benefit क्या है? We should be able to maximize the value and we should be able to respond to changing priorities. That is the benefit of agile. That's it.
Yeah, and I mean that's what I'm trying to understand, like how in what situation like FDD would be better, as compared to any other.
देखो मैं FDD को बहुत recommended approach तो नहीं कहूंगा, but FDD से हमने ये सीख लिया क्या देखो बाकी तो सब कुछ सेम है FDD में भी, राइट? सब कुछ ही सेम है. हमने ये सीख लिया कि एक मॉडल अगर आपके सामने हो, ओवरऑल मॉडल ऑफ द सिस्टम, राइट? वो it makes us easy to understand, right? What our future system will look like. So we can start with building the whole big picture of the system, right? उसके अलावा क्या है कि we can also think about individual code ownership, right? In some situations, individual code ownership will work better than collective code ownership, right? For example, मैंने बताया आपको कि Scrum के साथ for technical practices we follow XP, but XP कहता है collective code ownership. XP कहता है pair programming, right? Now should we use pair programming or collective code ownership, right? बाकी सारे ठीक हैं, coding standards होने चाहिए, सब कुछ होना चाहिए. So वहाँ पे हम we can think about individual class ownership also, based on the dynamics of our team, based on the skill level of our team. Right? Is that okay? But simply don't follow any methodology for the sake of following. This is what I'm trying to say. Take good pluses from every methodology you can follow, right? Is that okay? So guys, any questions on feature-driven development? Any questions on feature-driven development, guys? No questions? Now, can we go through another method, which is dynamic system development, DSDM, right? Now, again, all these methods have been developed very early, right? But they are not as popular as Scrum, because Scrum, right, they focused a lot on publicity and popularization. They popularize the framework more. Now, DSDM was developed in 1990s, right? And it is based on rapid application development, right? And the latest version of DSDM is called as DSDM, right? Etern. Now, what is different in DSDM, right? Now, DSDM, one thing which is added in DSDM, which is not there in Scrum or any other framework, is in dynamic system development, right? This method talks about pre-project and post-project also, right? This is how DSDM looks, right? Now, it talks about pre-project also. Can you see pre-project here?
Yes, Pankaj.
Now, what is pre-project? Pre-project is preparation. Shall we go ahead with this project or not? Right? Are we selecting a right project? Is the business case corresponding to this project viable, desirable, achievable, or sustainable, right? Is the project worthwhile investment proposition or not? So coming out with the business case of the project, assessing the business case viability, right? This is done in pre-project work, right? Pre-project phase, right? Right? In pre-project, pre-project is primarily about feasibility and foundation, right? Now, tell me, was this phase there in Scrum? It was neither in Scrum, it was nor in Kanban, it was not even there in FDD or XP, right? Then it also talks about exploring the requirement iteratively and incrementally. It also talks about developing the requirement, designing and development iteratively and incrementally, right? And deploying and deployment. Now, these things are included in Scrum and other ones also, like XP also. But apart from this, it also talks about post-project. After the project is rolled out, right? Assess whether the business benefits are realized as per the plan or not. Right? Is the project giving desired benefit, or we require some changes in the project? So it talks about post-project performance review also, which was not there in Scrum or FDD or XP or Kanban. So are you seeing the difference? Are you observing the difference between dynamic system development or DSDM atom and other methods? Or tell me, what are the two things which are included in DSDM which are not there in other methodologies and framework? Tell me, guys.
Pre and post project.
Pre-project. This is the only thing. Rest is same. Only thing which is added is pre-project and post-project. Now, pre-project is about assessing whether project is a worthwhile investment proposition or value for money. And post-project is, after the project is rolled out, measuring the performance of the project. Is it delivering the desired benefit that were planned for the project or not? Or do we need any modifications, right, to the project? So these are the two things. Now, see, DSDM these are the principles of DSDM. Now, and today we'll go through Agile Manifesto values and principles, which were coined in 2001. These DSDM, these 8 DSDM atom principles were coined in 1990s, way before even Agile Manifesto came in. Right? These manifestos are like this: focus on business needs. Right? Now, if you see focus on business needs, establish a sound business case, right? Guarantee a minimum usable subset of features. It's like minimum marketable features or minimum marketable product. Deliver on time and always meet the deadline. Collaborate, never compromise on quality. Build incrementally from firm foundations, right? Develop iteratively, communicate continuously and clearly, and demonstrate control, right? These are the 8 principles of DSDM, right? They were developed much before even Agile Manifesto values and principle came into existence. Now, any question about you're saying something? Yeah. Any questions on DSDM? Your voice is. Any questions, guys? Aditya, did you understand DSDM? Aditya?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Divya, are you okay with DSDM?
Yes.
Right. Now, should we move to Crystal? Now, see, Vishal, are you okay with DSDM?
No, sir, the direct answer is not possible.
Now, see, Vishal, are you okay with Crystal?
DSDM, right? Pankaj?
It's her DSDM, sorry.
Yeah.
It's same as any other methodology, only pre-project and post-project are added. Now, see, pre-project will be same, right? You remember when we started the training, we discussed about business case. We did a case study also on business case, right?
Sorry, I did not get.
Right? See, if to Scrum framework, if I add pre-project and post-project to Scrum framework, right? Forget about all of these things. You understand Scrum, Nitin? Nitin, do you understand? Because Scrum में क्या होता है? Product backlog है, फिर sprint है, right? But उससे पहले, if you put pre-project, now pre-project का मतलब क्या है? कि find out whether before you start working on a project, find out whether it is worth working in or not. Whether it is a part of assessment, feasibility study, right? And establishing basic foundation. So ये भी add हो जाएगा उसमें. Is that okay?
Correct.
Right? एक तो pre-project add हो गया उसमें. Second क्या add हो गया? Post-project. Post-project का मतलब है जब project close हो गया. देखो, benefit realization of project happens when the project is over.
Yeah.
Right? So, you know, you will measure those benefits, right? Are benefits coming up as per the plan, right? If the benefits are not coming as per the plan, can we do some modifications in the project? Can we do some changes so that the benefits are improved? So that assessment is also added here, the post-project one. So to Scrum, if I add pre-project and post-project, right? It becomes dynamic system development. Is that okay now, Nitin?
Yeah, correct.
देखो स्क्रम है या FDD है या XP है, उसमें उन सब में मैं अगर प्री प्रोजेक्ट ऐड कर देता हूं और पोस्ट प्रोजेक्ट ऐड कर देता हूं, then it becomes dynamic system development. Is that okay?
Okay.
Ritesh, Ishan, is that okay? Is that okay? Ritesh and Ishan?
Yes.
Divya, are you okay with this? Isha? Charu?
Yes, Pankaj.
Right? Are you okay with that? Perfect. Now, these are the principles that we discussed, right? Now, I discussed it very quickly because, you know, today, towards the end of the session, we'll go through Agile Manifesto values and principles, right? So, you know, this will cover all of them. Now, I'm taking you through the last one. The last methodology that we have to discuss is Crystal, right? What is Crystal? Have you heard of Crystal? Have you heard of Crystal before?
No.
Right. See, you know, I would not say Crystal. Crystal is more like a family of Agile methodologies, right? Now, you know, Crystal is all about how even Agile methods can be tailored to match the specific characteristics of the project, right? Now, you know, a project can be simple, very simple. It can be a medium, project can be of medium complexity. Project can be complicated and complex, right? Project can fall in any of these ranges, guys. Now, in Crystal, you know, we have different Agile methodologies, right? To take it, you know, which can be used in different situations, right? Now, we categorize, we have, can you see can you see Crystal clear where I'm pointing? Can you see Crystal yellow, Crystal orange, Crystal red?
Yes.
And, you know, we have, then we have Crystal magenta, which is not shown here, right? Now, see, now how do we first in Crystal, first thing is you categorize a project, right? Based on complexity. Now, the parameters taken for the complexity are the size, the team size and the risk. The y-axis is the risk, right? Whereas the x-axis is team size. Now, in Crystal clear, what is the team size? 1 to 6 members, right? In yellow, less than 20. In orange, less than 40, right? In red, 100. And there's a Crystal magenta that talks about 101 to 200. Now, this is team size. You don't categorize only on the basis of team size, right? You look at risk also. Now, risks are categorized in terms of life, essential money, discretionary money, comfort money, right? Based on these two factors, right, you decide which is the set of processes to be followed in Agile, right? You can have, processes from which are more lean to more heavyweight based on these two characteristics, right? The size of the team and the risk associated with the project. Now, tell me one thing. If the risk associated is high and the team size is big, do we require more heavier methodologies or not? If risk is more and the team size is big, do you require more documentation or less documentation? Tell me, guys.
Come again your question, Pankaj.
If your project has huge risk and the team size is very big, in that case, to manage the project effectively, do you require more documentation as compared to a project which is simple with very few team members, or less documentation?
More documentation.
Yeah, I would say more documentation.
See, bigger the team, more complex is the project, right? More documentation, right? So, and as the complexity decreases, as the team size decreases, can we have more leaner processes? Can we have more leaner processes? Yes or no? Tell me, guys, can we have more leaner processes? हमें ज्यादा डॉक्यूमेंट्स की जरूरत नहीं पड़ेगी अगर छोटा प्रोजेक्ट है, कम लोग हैं, right? Now, so there are two parameters that we see: the size and the complexity. Now, in complexity or in terms of risk associated with the project, right, we are looking at these factors, right? Comfort, discretionary money, essential money, and life. Now, tell me why we have used the word life for risk here. Can a project lead to loss of life also? Okay, right? Can a project failure lead to, see, those projects that can impact your life, right? Those are high risk projects. And such projects are also there, right? Those projects which can impact the basic money that company needs to survive, right? Essential money means basic money that needs to survive. If they fail, company will not be able to survive. This is essential money. These are impact of the project, right? Discretionary means, what is discretionary money? See, any saving that you have, if a project can impact your additional earnings, right? It is still less risky. And if a project can impact your money that is above discretionary money that you use for your comfort, for example, employee reward or project team reward or any other comfort given to the project team, right? So, tell me, which is more riskier project, which will impact your comfort or discretionary money, or which will impact your essential money? Which is more risky project? A project that can impact essential money or discretionary money? Somebody has to come forward.
Essential money.
Because see, if essential money is impacted, the company is not even able to survive. Right? Now, see, so what, Crystal, what is inside every other methodology, like what is in how crystal clear is performed, how crystal yellow is performed, orange, you can create your own set of methodologies, right, based on your need. But the basic essence of this crystal methodology is, right, if the team size is very less and the project can maximum impact your discretionary money, right, you can follow clear, which is relatively a lean approach. If the project size is around 20, but project can also impact your essential money, then follow crystal yellow, right? If the team size is 40 and the project can impact your essential money, right, follow crystal orange. If team size is 100 and project can impact your essential money, follow crystal red. Now, if the team size is around 200 and project can have impact on your life also, right, then we use crystal magenta, which is not mentioned here, right? This is crystal magenta beyond this. So we have different set of methodologies, right? Based on the complexity of the project, right? And the team sizes. This is crystal. This is crystal, guys. So any question on crystal? Now, can somebody tell me when do we use crystal clear? Neeraj, are you there? Neeraj, are you there? Ketan, are you there?
Yes,
Ketan, Ketan, could you please explain crystal clear to everyone? When do we use crystal clear?
When we have to categorize or when you have to categorize your like whether which features needs to be essential or based on that we need to use this.
No, see. Now, see, crystal clear is used when the project is very, very simple, right? Now, when I say very simple, it has less than 6 members, right? And the maximum damage, the maximum impact that a project can give us, the maximum risk or the impact project can have is on our discretionary money, which is our extra savings, right? If the project is, right, of this, size and complexity, we use crystal clear. Is that okay, Ketan?
Yes, if suppose in this case, if team member is more than 6, then do we need to use in that case we can use other methodologies also if team size is less than 6?
Right. See, now, see, we are only talking about crystal, right? If team size is less than 6 and it can impact, your discretionary money, you follow?
Crystal clear.
Crystal clear, right? Now tell me, but if suppose team size is 6, but project can still impact your essential money, suppose, then what will you follow?
Crystal yellow, I think, in this case.
Yeah, it's better to follow crystal yellow, right? Because risk is there, right? Now, can anyone explain to me crystal orange? Right? Shelja, would you like to explain me crystal orange? What is crystal orange? Shelja, are you there? Shelja, are you there? I think Shelja is not there. So, who will explain crystal orange?
If the team size is between 21 to 40,
yeah,
it is impacting your discretionary money and essential money, then we should be doing
essential money primarily. Discretionary money is okay. And see, if it is impacting your essential money, you won't be able to survive. Your business will crash, right? Then you can use crystal orange.
But Pankaj, I have a question here. So, I mean, we are saying that we should be using crystal clear, yellow, orange, that is fine.
Yeah.
But what are the steps under crystal clear?
See, this is not defined in any of the books, right? So you can create your own document. See, again, what they are saying in crystal is you can make your project more and more secured, right? Your documentation can be more and more if you move from clear to yellow to orange to red, right? So you have now, but what are the exact documents? See, because I have not seen any book that explains everything, right? So what we can presume is, as we are moving from clear to yellow to orange to red, we are using more and more heavyweight processes, right? So, and which can be designed on your own.
Okay.
Right? For example,
so this
if I talk about, see, I'll tell you. For example, if I am doing a software development project, right? And which has around 100 people team, right? And it can impact my essential money also, right? The project is very important for it. Now, is Scrum sufficient for that kind of project? Right? It will be, see, I'll add Kanban and Lean to Scrum. Kanban to Scrum to have more visibility, right? To augment the Scrum. Plus, I would try to use, some of the good practices from extreme programming also, right? To ensure that my project succeeds. However, if the project is simply very small, less than 5 people and can impact my discretionary money only, I can follow either Kanban only, I can follow Scrum only, right? Is that okay? Right, Vishal?
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, but individual steps are not defined anywhere, right?
Yeah, it
For
doesn't
example.
actually tell.
So,
Like,
but obviously, you know, but having said this, you know, obviously, you know, since it's an agile methodology, there will be incremental and iterative approach to deliver, right? And obviously, we'll have a iteration planning. We have a daily stand-ups. We'll have iteration review and retrospective for sure, right?
Even if, like, I mean, it's not given that we are going to use Crystal Red. Obviously, like if the project is huge and there is like
without Crystal also you'll follow. Yes.
Then also we'll be doing the same.
Yeah. So that's why, you know, these are again, you know, don't go by names, right? As you said, you know, we'll automatically follow this, right? If the project is complex, right? So, you know, we have covered all the agile methodologies and framework, right? Now, the time is 12:15, right? We have 15 more minutes. Now, we can complete the whole agile by completing agile manifesto values and principles, right? So can we complete agile manifesto values and principles first? Right? I think you are tired also, so I don't want to practice questions, right? Let's complete agile manifesto values and principles, right? Generally people do it in the beginning, but I do it in the end because, you know, if I do agile manifesto values and principles now, you can easily acknowledge because you have a good amount of knowledge on agile. Now, from tomorrow, we'll start with the conventional approaches, incremental and iterative, and we'll start with schedule management. So tomorrow we are going to do critical path, right? Project network diagrams, Gantt charts, those things. Now, can we start with Agile Manifesto, guys? Are you able to see my slide on Agile Manifesto?
Yes, Pankaj.
Right?
Yeah,
Now, see, this manifesto was developed in 2001, right? And it has 4 values and 12 principles, right? So we have 4 values of Agile Manifesto and 12 principles, right? Now, you know, since at that time, when you talk about 2001, Agile was only catering to software development. So in many places, you will see the word software development, but the manifesto values and principles are applicable everywhere in a non-software environment also. So wherever you see the word software, imagine if software is replaced by deliverable, right? Now, we'll start with the values. These are can you see the 4 values in front of you? We'll start first with the 4 values of the Agile Manifesto. Can you see the values in front of you?
Yes, Pankaj.
So, you know, the first value is individuals and interaction over process and tools. Now, what does it mean when I say individuals and interaction over process and tools, right? Now, see, the meaning of this is individuals and interaction is important, right? The left side item, individuals and interaction is important, right? The right side item, process and tools they are also important. But what is more important? Individuals and interaction or process and tools? What is more important? Both are important, but what is more important? What should be your higher priority? See, and the tools. See, you know, Imbalo, I'll say process and tools, why they are not important, right? As compared to individuals and interaction. Imbalo, imagine if process and tools are given to somebody, right, who is incompetent to handle. If somebody doesn't have skills to handle processes and tools, and if there are teams who are not willing to collaborate, tell me, will process and tools work?
because the processes tools is most, for me, I'm thinking most important,
No,
because if you know
see,
how the
I
tool
agree. No,
Really not.
follow, very important. But if good, you have best of the processes in follow, right? You have best of the processes, you have best of the tools. But if they are given to people who are not skilled and are not willing to collaborate, will it work?
not.
No, right? So
Yes.
that's what I'm saying. Individuals and interaction are important, and process and tools are also important. But still, individuals and interaction, right, are more important than process and tools.
Okay, of course.
Right? Only
Yes,
if good and rich process and tools are given to highly skilled people, only then it will work, right? And people who are willing to collaborate. Is that okay? Now, this was the first value. Second is working software over comprehensive documentation, right? Or see, again, you can imagine if it is working deliverable rather than software. Working software over comprehensive documentation. See, working deliverable is important, right? Documentation is also important. But what is more important? Tell me, what is primary measure of a success for a customer? A working deliverable or a documentation? Imagine you are a customer. For you, what is more important?
Working deliverable.
Working deliverable.
A working deliverable, right? Though both are important, but working deliverable is more important than documentation. That's the reason why, the focus of every agile framework and methodology is to produce potentially shippable product at the end of every sprint, right? Now, customer collaboration is important, contract negotiation is important, right? But tell me, in a changing business environment, which is more important, customer collaboration or contract negotiation?
Customer collaboration.
Customer collaboration is
Customer collaboration.
because multiple times you have to get the contract modified, right? See, you will be more clear about this. There is one topic that will discuss during procurement, which is called as agile contracting, right? Agile contracting doesn't go in a conventional format, right? If we have to be successful in agile, we have to follow agile contracts, and agile contracts are more collaboration based contract, not right. They're more collaboration driven contract. That is a prerequisite. The fourth point, responding to change over following the plan. Responding to change over following the plan. Now tell me, see, responding to change or adapt is important, right? Following a plan is also important. But tell me, should we follow a plan, right, which has become obsolete, or should we adapt to the changing business needs? Which is more important in a project, plan or planning? Tell me, which is more important, plan or planning?
Planning.
Planning is more important, right? And planning is all about, adapting, modifying your plan, right? Making mid-course adjustment to your plan based on the environment, right? Based on the feedback, right? So that's why responding to change is more important as compared to following a plan. Now, these are 4 values of the manifesto, right? Now, can we also go through 12 principles, guys? Can we go through 12? See, these are the 4 values of Agile Manifesto. Agile Manifesto has 12 principles also. Can we go through 12 principles of Agile Manifesto, guys?
Okay.
Right.
Yes.
So I'm taking you through 12 principles of Agile Manifesto. These are the 12 principles of the Agile Manifesto. Now, guys, before I discuss every principle of manifesto, I'll first give you 3 minutes, right? I'll give you 3 minutes. You have to silently go through all the 12 principles. Then we'll go through it together, right? So I'm just putting myself on mute, right? Please go through all the 12 principles yourself first. Then we'll do it together. Can we start? Can we start? Have you gone through all the 12 principles, guys?
Yes, Pankaj.
Now see, you have to pick one, right? Pick one which you feel I should first elaborate, right? Let's not go in sequence, or you want to go in sequence, I'll go in sequence also, right? But first, the key ones. Tell me, which one should I pick first?
The 10th number, Pankaj.
Okay, the 10th number, right? Now, this is my favorite principle though, right? Shelda, this is my favorite principle.
Okay.
Simplicity. The art of maximizing the amount of work not done is essential. What does it mean? Can anyone try? Can Shelda, you try first of all? What is your thinking about this?
Yeah, so what I understood is that we should keep all the processes and the workflow as simple as possible, and all the complexities should not be added or maybe taken care until or unless it is required.
Okay. Anybody else who can try and explain this 10th principle? Anyone else who can try and explain 10th principle? Vishal, can you try 10th principle?
So it basically says that, we should keep everything as simple as possible. We shouldn't like unnecessarily, complex the things in whatever we are doing.
See, okay. Anybody else? Now see, the basic goal of this is always focus on the highest priority. Right? See, the basic fundamental behind this principle, the simplicity, the art of maximizing the amount of work not done is essential, is prioritize, and focus on the highest priority.
Which is giving higher business value.
Yeah. Now tell me one thing. If you are focusing on the highest priority, right? Doesn't it mean that you are maximizing the amount of work which is not required? Right? Now I'll take one example here. Suppose you have to work on 10 items. Right? Suppose you have to work on 10 items, and suppose you shortlisted 5 items, 5 high priority items, right, to work on, right, out of total 10 items. Then tell me how much work you have eliminated. How much non-relevant work you have eliminated. See, you had 10 items to be done, right? In your to-do list, you have 10 items. But, you picked 5 items from the list, which were, you took it in terms of high priority, right? Now tell me, what is the amount of work not done? Is it 5 or not?
5.
Suppose you selected only 4. How much work you have removed?
6.
Right? Are you maximizing on the amount of work which is not required? By focusing on the high priority. See, when you focus on the high priority work, you maximize the amount of work which is not needed. See, you can apply this to your real life also. Now, Shelja, you asked me this question. Shelja, tell me, in every day, you might have so many things to do.
Right, that's true.
See, if you start thinking about doing everything, you will not be able to complete anything, right? But tell me, if you decide that, okay, I have 12 things to do, but I'll do top 3 items today, the highest priority top 3 items, right? Is it not in alignment with this principle?
Right.
Simplicity, the art of maximizing the amount of work not done, is essential. So, always focus on the highest priority. That is the meaning of this principle, simplicity. Your focus at any given point should be the highest priority task, right?
So Pankaj, I mean, work rather than work not done, shouldn't it be work delayed? Because like we are not leaving that work outside our to-do list, right? We are just delaying that work because which is not
We might not be,
today.
we might not be even doing. See, we might be rejecting some few things not needed. See, focus
but
on the
not
highest
everything,
priority.
right? Not everything that we are not selecting today, right?
Yeah. See, the meaning is, focused on the top priorities, right?
Sir, I have a question here.
Yeah, sure.
When you're saying high priority, uh, uh, I mean, how do we decide on the priority part? Is it the high value thing we need to choose on?
Obviously, yes, high value. In case of project, it is high value. Now, in case of your daily routine also, it's a high priority, right? See, high value may be different for different
No. I'll hold with priority word. But actually, I was practicing some questions. So there was some question, and the answer to that question stated that in case you are like stucking on the timelines and you need to deliver quickly rather than the expected thing. So you choose the items which are high valued
Yes. That
items.
is high. Yeah. Value means, so in the context of project, high value means high priority. Yes. Yes. The high business value is high priority.
High priority and values could be different. I mean, maybe I have got an item which is
Not in
delivering
project.
me.
No, not in project, right? See, remember we
No, it
learned
can be in project, na? I mean,
no,
if
see,
an item is there for which I need to make the payment and it has to be done by tomorrow, otherwise my services will get stopped. So
no, but
priority is more important to that part. Although
no,
the return
no,
value
but
may be less.
see, I'll tell you what. The example you gave is a high value.
Yes.
See, it's a high value. See, high value, again, as we discussed, when we prioritize based on value and size or cost, right? So obviously, any item that is high revenue, low cost will be preferred over, high value, high cost, or low value, low cost, right? So in the context of project, right, prioritize, and prioritization should be done based on value, right? High value items should be addressed first.
High value.
Yes.
Fine. I mean, maybe if we are like, I'll come up with some example. I'm not able to think right straight away. I mean, how?
See, in every context you do, right? See, we many times unintentionally also we follow this, right? See, we all have given various questions, various examinations to reach at this level. Suppose you are attempting a question paper, right? Now, generally, in sometime, during our graduation, when we do engineering, right? For example, let's say you're appearing in engineering drawing exam, there will be a question on machine drawing, right? And which will be of, 35 or 40 marks out of 100 marks, right? And rest of the questions are of 10, 10, 5, right? So you will start with a machine drawing question first by default, right? So in any question paper, when you are sitting in examination, right? Some questions are of 5 marks, some questions are of 10 marks, and suppose one question is of 25 marks. Won't you start 25 question, the question which is carrying 25 marks first?
I'll start with 25 marks first, definitely. But in case I am getting stuck with this 25 marks question, I'll definitely leave it and
then obviously,
visit it later. And then meanwhile, I'll prefer finishing off the rest of the paper.
Then you will go to the next highest priority, right? That's okay.
Yeah.
That's okay. Don't waste time when you are stuck, don't waste time. And this is the meaning here.
So with respect to this principle, when it says simplicity, the art of maximizing the amount of work not done is essential. It is not talking about.
No, see, it is very it is very, very similar to a lean principle, eliminate waste. Right? In lean, we have a lean, we have a principle, remember, eliminate waste.
Correct.
It's same as that principle only.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, fine.
Now, which principle should I pick next? Tell me, you have to tell me which principle should I pick next? Or shall we do it in sequence now?
Pankaj, sorry, Pankaj, coming back to this, I mean, 10th question, 10th principle. You said like, I mean, if we are not sure about that 25 number of, I mean, the marks of that question,
If we
if we are
don't
not
waste
sure,
time.
if we are not sure, right?
Don't waste time, right? Don't waste time, I'm saying.
No, if the person is sure, I mean, 100% sure, then he can complete. No?
Obviously, highest value thing should be first, completed first.
Correct. Okay, got it. So, I mean, we need to think like where we are putting the highest value, right?
Where we are getting the highest value, yes.
Okay, all right.
Right. Obviously, if I give you structure of an exam, right? Now, suppose an exam consists of 4 topics, right? In exam, questions will come from 4 topics: topic 1, topic 2, topic 3, topic 4, right? But if topic 4 carries, right, 50% marks, whereas topic 1, 2, and 3, they together consist of 50% marks. And topic 4 is smallest but consists of 50% marks. Which topic you will read first or learn first? Tell me. If there is a subject, it has 4 topics: topic 1, topic 2, topic 3, topic 4. Topic 4 consists of 50% marks, right? There will be 50% questions in the examination based out of topic 4, right? Topic 1, topic 2, topic 3, right? Together consist of 50%. Now, if you have to start studying, which topic you will start first? Forget and imagine all the topics are independent, no dependencies are there.
Yeah, then I would prefer like 1, 2, 3.
Why? See, yeah. Why should 1, 2, 3? Why not you start with topic 4 straight away?
The maximum scoring topic should be done first.
Maximum scoring topic would be done first. Yes or no?
Yeah, got it.
Right. So now, what should I pick next, guys? Any choice, or should we do in sequence? Shall we follow sequence? Okay.
Yes, sir.
Sequence should be good. Okay. So let's go by sequence. Right. The first one. Our highest priority is to satisfy the customer through early and continuous delivery of valuable software. Right. Do we all agree to this or not? Do we all agree to this?
Yes, Pankaj.
Right. Now, second is important, right? So I'm just highlighting this. Welcome changing requirement even late in development. Agile process harness change for the customer's competitive advantage. Welcome changing requirement even late in development. Agile process harness change for the customer's competitive advantage. Now tell me, do you agree with 2 or disagree with 2?
Agree, because in Agile, we need to adapt to all the changes whenever and wherever they come.
Okay. Now, does anyone disagree with this? Does anyone disagree with this?
I don't disagree, Pankaj, but I would want to understand the meaning of agile processes harness change. What does it mean?
Agile processes are designed in such manner that they enable you to change to they enable you to respond to changing priorities. Right. But again, why when I say welcome changing requirement, what does it actually mean? Are you okay? See, Agile process enables you to adapt, right? And to respond to changing requirement or priorities, right? This is the last one. But before that, Vishal, are you okay with welcome changing requirement even late in development? Are you okay with this?
So basically,
Doesn't it have any cost implications if it is coming late in the development?
Now see, this is a relevant question though, right? What do you think, Divya? Isha has some concern. Divya, do you also have some concern on this principle number 2?
No,
I did not get exactly this.
See, when I say welcome changing, Isha, when I say welcome changing requirements, even late in the development, right? Isha, are you listening?
Yes, Pankaj.
This, first of all, in order to understand it properly, we have to understand the concept of healthy change and unhealthy changes, right? Now, what are healthy changes? What are unhealthy changes? Now, tell me, if let's say I'm working on developing a car model, and I am moving ahead, I am in mid of creating a sedan car, right? And somebody tell me, no, I need a hatchback or I need a SUV. Now, if this kind of a change has come on my way, is it a healthy change or unhealthy change? Tell me, is it a healthy change or unhealthy change? Anyone?
Unhealthy change?
It's an unhealthy change.
It's an unhealthy change, right? And generally, unhealthy changes will happen when due to lack of collaboration between the customer and the developer or the person who is developing the product, right? I'll give you another example. See, in my house, a carpenter was working and there were 5 wooden boards. These 5 wooden boards have to be laminated with different color laminates, right? He was given a lot of laminates, he was given wooden boards, and 5 wooden boards have to be laminated, right, on both the sides. The guy laminated, right, all the 5 boards and came to me. When I saw the board, it looks very weird. I said, you need to change all of them. It looks so bizarre and weird. Is it a healthy change or unhealthy change? If I ask for modification now, is it a healthy change or unhealthy change?
Unhealthy, but Pankaj, in Agile, if we're talking about it.
But Agile doesn't talk about these kind of unhealthy changes.
Right.
So when I am saying welcome changing requirement, it is not referring to those unhealthy changes. These are mistakes.
Right.
Right? And these mistakes will have cost implications. These will have time implications. This welcome changing requirements refer to healthy changes. Now, what are healthy changes? Healthy changes are when you constantly collaborate with the customer, right? And customer gives you frequent feedback, right? So that you can fine tune your product. Are you getting my point? These are healthy changes. For example, instead of putting laminates on all the 5 wooden boards, if this guy has put temporarily fixed laminate on 2 sides of 1 wooden board only, right? And showed it to me, and I have given my feedback regarding 1 wooden board and which needs to be followed for rest of the wooden boards. In this case, is it a healthy change or unhealthy change?
It's a healthy change, but in Agile, we'll always be having healthy changes because that's the entire purpose of it.
Yes, absolutely. If you constantly collaborate with the people, right? If you constantly collaborate with the people and your customer knows the requirement very well, and you are doing frequent reviews and frequent inspections, will always have healthy change, right? And this is about healthy change, right? Now tell me, if in Agile, you are not collaborating with the customer properly, and even sometimes customer doesn't know the requirement properly, and because of this, if there's a gap and change comes later, will it be a healthy change or unhealthy change?
Then it would be unhealthy.
Now tell me, is this principle talking about these unhealthy changes? No.
No.
This is about those healthy changes, right? Which are result of collaboration between customer, right? Right. First of all, customer knows whatever he needs very well, and there's a continuous collaboration between customer and the delivery team, right? Right. And there is a through sprint reviews or iteration reviews, there's a frequent reviews and frequent feedback mechanism, right? Then this is applicable, right? So it is only applicable to healthy changes, not unhealthy changes. That's why, and healthy changes are those changes which will not have a lot of time and cost implications, right? Is that okay?
Yes, Pankaj.
Whereas unhealthy changes will totally shatter your plan, right? Your plan will fall apart. They will have a lot of impact on time, cost, everything, right? So Isha, now you understand this principle?
Yes, I do. I just have one question. If we are working in a sprint, okay, if we are working in a one particular sprint and there are some changes coming up from the customer side, so we should directly imbibe all those changes in that particular sprint, or we should follow any change control process, or we should use some change request process for that.
We can see if a change, because a sprint is very well planned during sprint planning, right? Now, see, if it is a very high priority change, right, and the date for delivering is sprint end, right, then you can remove some of the existing requirement of the sprint and incorporate it, right? Else, and that too, product owner has a discretion on this, right? There should be a discussion between product owner and development team, right? Now, secondly, if a change, ideally any change should first go to product backlog, and product owner will prioritize in which sprint it should be planned and delivered. Is that okay?
So there were some questions around it, Pankaj. What should be the best answer for that? So the changes should be prioritized by the product owner, and it should be there added in the backlog, right?
In Agile, if you're following Agile, the first thing is the first entry will be into the product backlog, right? From the product backlog, the product owner will prioritize, right? Obviously, when you prioritize, after prioritization, you will do a impact in terms of time and cost also, right? Now, see, sometimes, we try to minimize impact on time and cost by removing some features which are not needed, right? Now, tell me, if trade-off is not possible and you have to, if you need extra time and extra money, then, it has even a change, even if it is there in the product backlog, it has to go through change request, right, mechanism. Because you need additional money and cost, but later. But first thing is, it should become part of product backlog, right? It should be assessed and prioritized by the product owner, right? If the magnitude of the change is high and it can't be traded off, then, a change control board's approval will also be required later. But generally, there are questions which requires that, okay, if change has come, where should it be added first? It should be going to the product backlog and it should be prioritized. Is that okay, Isha?
Yes, Pankaj, thank you.
So, Pankaj, I have an add-on question to this, like what Isha asked. So in such scenario, when we are adding new requirements or new stories to current sprint, so in that case, like our information radiators burned down chart, would it be like irrelevant in that case, because now the scope has totally been changed?
No, see, that's what we learned, Vishal. The burn up will not impact it. Burn up will not be impacted because burn up has a clear provision of adding the new requirement, right? Remember, in the burn up at the top, you always show a product backlog size, right? Now, since it is added to product backlog, if it is added to product backlog, sprint is not impacted at all.
No, if it is only, if the items are added only, then there is no impact. We can show like it in negative. I think we have shown this, right? We have seen this in one of the images. But if we are exchanging the stories, we are adding some and we are removing.
Then yes. Then again, see, because burn down and burn up are not story specific. It is more story point specific, right?
Yeah. Correct.
So again, number of story points may change. So the plan may change.
Okay. Another question which I have on this point too, as you were mentioning that unhealthy changes, if they come late, they'll be impacting the cost and, timeline schedule as well. So there may be some chances with healthy changes as well, right? If we see
देखो
them
healthy में
coming
कम
into
होता है
picture.
impact, healthy में कम होता है impact. देखो क्या होता है, unhealthy change can lead to make, the whole plan may go haywire, right? The whole plan may fall apart because of unhealthy change. Even healthy changes can have some implication on time and cost, but that is viable generally in terms of business.
Correct. So, I mean, like I'm looking at the second line of this, principle, which says that for the customer's competitive advantage, right?
Yeah.
If, my client has person for which I'm creating this product, right? If they have a competition, and they have a feature like bringing into market, and to compete with them, if we have to bring in a feature at very last moment, we'll have to do it because it's a healthy change, and it may cost us some maybe budgeting things, maybe some schedule wise delays as well.
Sir, you see, that's the reason why, while dealing with Agile, don't go with traditional contracts, fixed price contracts. Agile के लिए हमेशा follow Agile contracts.
Yeah, correct.
देखो, see, I'll tell you one. There was a girl from KPMG in one of my batch, 3-4 months ago. So in KPMG, they follow Agile contracts in such manner that, every sprint they are paid. If the potentially shippable product is accepted, they're paid based on that. So in Agile, there are various types of contract, like graduated fixed price contracts, right? We have fixed work package contracts, follow those contracts. So if you will land up in a bigger trouble if you follow standard contracts, like fixed price contracts, specifically fixed price contracts, or any kind of rigid contract will not work in case of Agile. Right? Is that okay, Vishal?
Yes, Pankaj.
Right. So be very careful about designing the contract when you're working in Agile. Right. Now, can we go to the next one? Now it is pretty simple and general. Deliver working software frequently from every couple of weeks to couple of months with a preference to shorter time scale, right? Obviously, the preferred time scale is 2 weeks, right? The preferred time scale is 2 weeks, but again, there are various other flavors of Agile also, like continuous delivery lean, right? In continuous delivery lean, it's an approach where you deliver multiple times in a day also, right? But they are very high-end Agile examples, right? Business people and developer must work together daily throughout the project, right? So there should be a continuous collaboration between business people and the developers, right? Build project.
Business people here means product owner only, because like other business stakeholders generally don't meet with the business development.
Yes, product owner primarily. Right. Build project around motivated individuals, give them environment and support they need, and trust them to get the job done, right? This is general principle applicable everywhere, right? The most important and efficient method of conveying information to and within a development team is face-to-face conversation, right? Now, when I say face-to-face conversation in today's context, right? Even a video conferencing is a face-to-face contact, right? Like the way we are communicating is also like a face-to-face contact, right? And we all understand this is the best way to communicate. A lot of misunderstandings get removed when you discuss things face-to-face, right?
So, Pankaj, I mean, like having video call only would suffice the face-to-face conversation, or having the videos on means that face-to-face conversation?
See, I will not comment on this. I think, even video call should work, but if the camera is on, it is better.
Okay.
Right. But it should suffice, I think, right? Working software is a primary, again, wherever you see software, imagine as if it is deliverable, right? Working deliverable is the primary measure of progress, and we have been discussing about it, right? Now, this is again, where did we learn this principle? It has again come up. Agile process promotes sustainable development. The sponsors, developers, and users should be able to maintain a constant pace indefinitely. Didn't we learn about sustainable pace in XP, extreme programming?
Yes, XP.
Right? Yes, right. Now, the 9th principle is continuous attention to technical excellence and good design enhances agility, right? That's the reason why I was suggesting that, when you use in software development environment, when you use Scrum, right? Take some practices, principles, and values from extreme programming also, right? Because technical excellence is important to enhance agility, right? Is technical excellence important or not to enhance agility? See, irrespective of the fact you know everything about Agile, but if you don't have people skilled in Java, right? If your project requires Java and you don't have people skilled in Java, will you succeed? You might be knowing best of Agile, right? You know everything, nitty-gritties of Agile, right? You're a best Agile coach, but if your team is not skilled, right? It won't work, right? So continuous attention to technical excellence enhances, and good design enhances agility. Now, I should not be doing 10th because we have discussed it at length, right? So 11th one, the best architecture, requirement, and design emerges from self-organizing team, right? Because self-organizing teams are cross-functional, right? They're technically skilled, right? So definitely the best architecture, requirement, and design will emerge from these, right? And the 12th principle is, what this principle is applicable to ourselves, our lives also. At regular intervals, the team reflect on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjusts its behavior accordingly, right? Is it relevant to our lives also, guys? At regular interval, the team reflect on how to become more effective, then tunes and adjust its behavior accordingly, right? On 31st December, do you reflect on how to become more effective or not? When you are close to, I think almost all the world, right? When we are close to 31st of December, we do this, right?
Right, that's true.
Right? But again, will it be better if we do it at the end of every month or not?
Yes.
But, right? So it will be good if we do it at the end of every month, right? So these are 12 principles of the Agile Manifesto, right? We have done 4 values and 12 principles, right? We are through with Agile now. And I think, Shelja, you missed critical path and schedule, right?
Right.
So tomorrow we'll start with schedule management, right? And cost management in a non-agile context, right? For standard, incremental, right? And predictive approaches. So we'll go through concepts such as project network diagram, critical path, right? Critical chain. We'll also learn about few important parameters such as cost, variance, schedule variance, cost performance index, schedule performance index, right? I don't think tomorrow we'll be able to cover cost. So tomorrow we'll cover the time part of it, right? We'll learn critical path, how to solve problems related to project network diagrams, right? And we'll go through some important terms such as float, free float, right? Lead, lag, different types of relationship between activities such as finish to start, start to finish, start to start, finish to finish.
How many more classes will still be here?
See, I think, there are 5 to 6 more classes which are left. Course is huge. See, I'll tell you what we have to cover now. See, we need one class for schedule. Then there will be a class for cost, right? After that, there will be a class for risk. Then we have the team management, the resource management part of it, right? We have stakeholder communication. We have quality, right? We have procurement. Right? Is that okay?
Pankaj, just one thing related to this principle.
Yeah, which one?
If you to self-organizing teams, there were some questions which says that the team members have internal conflicts and how the features needs to be delivered.
Yeah.
Particular features needs to be delivered. So what should the project manager do? Should they leave it to the team since they are very self-organized and highly motivated?
Very good. These are very good questions. Yeah, we are going to do conflict management in details, right? Now see, Isha, there are different types of conflicts, level 1, level 2, level 3, level 4. Right? For example, level 1 conflict is a healthy conflict. Right? Level 1 conflict, because all the conflicts are not bad. Some conflicts are healthy. For example, level 1 conflict is like problem to solve. Right? For example, Ishad and Divya, or let's say Ishan, you are deliberating on should we use Java or .NET, and you are putting your viewpoint. Now, in such cases, the preferred approach is, the project manager should avoid, let the team manage the conflict. But he should be sure that the level of the conflict is problem to solve, right? Is that okay?
Yes.
But if the conflict is a contest, right, or conflict is a world war, right, then depending on the conflict, right, the level of the conflict, right, you take your course of action. A conflict, problem to solve is a healthy conflict. Then conflict can be a disagreement also, right? If it is minor, it can be avoided. If it's major, it should not be avoided, right? A conflict can be a contest also. If it is a contest, then project manager should definitely intervene. From contest to crusade to world war, all the conflicts are very, very severe. So project manager should interfere. But again, at a problem to solve level, or at a very early stage of disagreement, he can avoid. He can, empower them, the team member, to solve them on their own. But again,
is there any? Are we going to cover this topic, because there are certain questions in the?
Keep on doing the questions. See, conflict management is a very exhaustive topic. We'll discuss it in detail. Right? See, I'll tell you what. There are certain things, which will be discussed in details, and you might be getting questions. For example, there is a Bruce Tuckman's team building model, right? Forming, storming, norming, performing, and adjourning. There will be questions on this for sure, right? And corresponding to this team building model, there is a Blanchard's and Hershey's leadership model, situational leadership model. We'll be discussing this in details, right? Conflict management, we'll discuss level of conflicts, right? We'll also discuss how to manage conflicts effectively in details. The reason, I'll tell you, the reason I have put you on question papers, right? The reason I suggested you, because 80% marks will come from Agile, right? 70 to 80% you are seeing on Agile only. So despite it, if few questions are unknown to you, right now you can try your best to do it. But anyway, we are going to cover every part of it. But still, don't stop practicing. Keep on practicing the questions. Is that fine?
Yes, Pankaj. Thank you.
So, please keep practicing questions, right? And Vishal, we were not able to do your questions today. So can you do one thing? Please have your question on your laptop, and tomorrow, while starting with the questions, right? We start every class with the questions, right? So please share your questions so that we can, go through all of them.
Sure, Pankaj.
Pankaj, which topic? Vishal is having the questions.
All they're random questions.
Okay.
They're random questions, and the general questions, but simple ones. Right?
Okay. All right.
So, see, again, ultimately it's practice of question that counts, right? Theory won't help you. Theory is just to clear the basics, right? But the paper will not be based on basics only, right? You should understand how. You should know how to apply that knowledge, right? And you should know how, you should have some idea about the kind of questions that come in PMI exams, right? So keep on practicing the questions. We'll catch up tomorrow, right? Now, after next week, right? After next week, we'll start building PMI application also. Will that be okay?
PMI application means?
And sir, after applying for the application, is there any time frame?
See, once your application is approved, you have full 1 year to appear, right? Now,
1 year.
You don't have to pay anything. You don't have to pay anything.
I did not get applying application.
See, I'll tell you what. You all have to create a login on PMI website, first of all, right? Now, after next 2 classes, I'm talking about after subsequent week, right? See, in order to appear in PMP exam, first of all, your application should be approved by PMI, right? So, after a week, which is next to the subsequent week, we'll start working on our application so that by the time the classes are over, your application is approved. Is that okay? Now, how to file the application, right? We'll discuss about all of these things next week.
Sure, sir.
So we are wrapping up here. We'll catch up tomorrow at same time, 9:30 a.m. guys.
Yes, Pankaj.
Perfect. Thank you. Have a great day to all of you.